have somebody interested in one of the kittens. Yay! That's one down.
Just send them all to Fonzie.
Dude, I'm so tempted. I have no idea where he lives in Houston, but I'm gonna drive to Houston and just like drop it off at a fire department or something. Be like, hey, I heard that Fonzie lives here or
There
works
can't be
here.
that many vegan firefighter, tap dancer, whatever the fuck it is he does.
Right?
He's got a pretty narrow spectrum there. Didn't he say him or his wife runs some sort of like dance academy thing?
I don't know if his wife runs it. I know they both dance, which is so weird. Firefighter, vegan, dancer.
It takes all kinds to bring this world together. I gave myself an alarm because I was sitting there playing in Photoshop, but I know if I didn't do that, I would forget about everything. Let me shoot these two a text message, see where they're at. So what do you think of the heroic raid, Abrelia?
Well, the first couple of bosses. Well, I missed the first boss, but
Did you? I thought we got you in for the first boss.
did I? I don't remember. All I know is they were fairly easy for being heroic. I get so just like more damage and whatnot, but and a little mechanics change here and there. But yeah, we'll have to really focus on Lady Ashbane because
Yeah, that coordination movement part there, I think, is going to be the crux of Ashfame. But as soon as people get together,
yeah,
the couple of wipes at the end there were because Trippy just didn't fucking move.
Still had a minute.
What? How dare you assume you had a minute?
Oh, am I late? Should I leave? I'm sorry.
Well, it's too late now. You're here.
You getting some dailies done in a while or something?
I got a couple done. I really, God, I have so much to go. How long are we going for tonight?
I was thinking the usual run to 9 here and then call her done. We get a key for your paladin, right?
We did like a. I think the highest I've done is a 9.
Didn't we do a 10?
I'm pretty sure it was a 9. Hold on, while we wait for Sin, I can actually check. You need to yell at him more and tell him to show up.
Look, I sent this guy a text message and I DM'd him and I did an ad at him and
Send him a candygram or something.
hold on, let me Google mail by strippers in the Atlanta, Georgia area.
I'm sure his roommates will appreciate it.
Look, there's even a freaking website for it.
For what?
Downtown Adult Parties based in Atlanta, Georgia.
What?
We can send one to his house.
What are you gonna have him sing? Because it's gotta be a singing stripper.
I don't know. I don't know. This is a classy website though. They got a black velvet background. That's how you know it's classy.
Highest I've done is a 9.
Alright, we'll have to get you a 10 in at least then. Oh my gosh. Well, in lieu of waiting for him any further, hopefully he'll join us at some point here. Let's see here. What name are you going by at this time, Mega?
Edward.
Edward.
Colin.
Is there another character, Mega?
Maybe.
Mega?
Wait, did Sandor die?
You'll just have to wait and find out. Dun dun dun. Well, Edward, you awake. It is early morning. You hear birds chirping and the pitter patter of feet running about, much to the disdain of the adults and parents that you assume to be in the vicinity, trying in hushed tones to yell at the children, "Slow down, stop running in the halls." Their giggle is evident that they have no intention whatsoever to slow down. You hear a cackle and dash into running into something else and go hiding upstairs, probably somewhere to elude the rampant feet underfoot. You are sitting in a guest room on the base level of the Folkmere Manor, having just returned little Celica to her family.
Oh, wonderful.
What would you like to do, sir?
Anything in the vicinity?
You are laying in a very comfy, plush down bed. The room is, despite it being late spring, early summer, it's surprisingly cool, despite the two large bay windows facing the rising sun, and then the one on the north face of the building. Um, the room is lavishly appointed. It's a large four-post bed. From the size of it, you sprawled out on this bed. There's probably easily enough room for another 2 or 3 full-grown adults in this bed comfortably. Um, there's a bureau with a mirror sitting against the back side of it on the right-hand wall as you face the doorway. To the left-hand side, there's a desk, a quill, and some paper. It says resting upon it. Both look to be set out for whatever guest happens to be staying in the room to use be sure they need to be. Coat rack is sitting in the corner to the left of the bed where you are now laying on, sitting on, I suppose, at this time. There's a couple of nightstands to either side of the bed. Lush carpet sitting on the hardwood floors.
I'm gonna get out of bed and I'm gonna put all my stuff on and I'm going to take the chair and examine the ornate box I had obtained from my adventure earlier.
All right. Sit down on the desk. You pull the box out of your pack and sit down. The box itself appears at a glance to be made of some sort of hardwood, though there is a metallic lace interwoven across the entire surface of this box. Across the front side of the box, there are three individual locks, one placed on the far left, far right, and one center on the box.
Can I examine the box further to ensure that if I do try to pick these locks, it's not going to explode?
Yeah, go ahead and make an investigation check.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Did I not make one for that? I did not.
It's always something.
I'm gonna grab a Topo Chico. I'll be right back.
All right. Looking over this small little box, I'm sorry, not small box. This box here was the one that's it's about 3 foot or so in length, maybe 8 inches or so wide, and the depth of the box is about 4.5, maybe 5 inches total. As you look over the box, poring over the corners and the details, trying to find some sort of mechanism that may trigger a trap, uh, you don't really find anything that you feel like is going to be causing you any issues. Though it is a little dizzying trying to pore over this box upon close inspection, as the metallic lace interwoven through the wood of the box almost seems to move and spin as you upon closer inspection of it.
Uh,
Make a will save for me. Wisdom save. You feel yourself starting to slip away and lose your balance a little bit, but you quickly brace yourself at the edge of the desk and muscle your willpower, pull yourself back into the moment. You manage to resist whatever effect this engraving upon the box was attempting to instill upon you.
oh, wonderful. This box is an asshole. Uh, hmm. What time is it roughly? Do I know?
It's early morning. You're not sure of the exact time, but the sun is probably it's about 3 or 4 finger widths above the horizon now. It's still a ways away from midday. It's fairly early in the morning.
I'm gonna tuck the box back and make a note to fiddle with it and exit the room.
All right. As you step out of the room, there is a portly gentleman dressed in finery who is standing there at almost a soldier's attention, though he appears more relaxed. He doesn't really seem to be too concerned or paying any mind as to anybody that's entering or leaving the hallway, though he is standing at the end of it at the intersection that you recall leads back out toward the main halls.
I'm definitely going that way.
All right. Just as you approach, Julie doesn't pay you any mind. He continues to stare straight ahead as if there's something extremely interesting on the opposing wall, his hands resting easily at his side.
I'm paying him no mind.
All right. You reach the intersection. You are now out in the main hall. To your left, you can see this main hall runs the length of the entire house. To your left, it goes straight out and back to the main gardens, and to your right, it goes out to the main street.
I think I'll go to the main street.
Alrighty. You turn right and make your way toward the exit of the building. As you begin to reach the front doors, you are interrupted by the call of a young girl as she goes, "Wait, wait, 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 wait!" and comes running in your direction.
I stop.
You turn and notice Celica is running towards you. She has a teddy bear tucked under her left arm and she's moving full bore at you. As she gets closer, she comes and doesn't slow one bit. Instead, she leaps at you and just there's a thoof as she impacts with your chest. You brace yourself for the impact, and she still manages to knock you back a couple of steps. But beyond that, you manage to hold your feet, and she just kind of has like a she's wrapping an arm around your waist and giving you the best she can, like a really tight hug. And she says, thank you for bringing me home."
I set her down. I give her a hug back and say, "You be good now, all right?"
She snuffles a bit. You're leaving already?
Hmm. I'll be around.
Make sure you come play again, okay?
I will.
She beams up at you, gives you one more big hug around the waist before she goes and starts running back toward the gardens.
I'm gonna take my cue to leave.
Alrighty, you exit the building. No one really seems to be paying you any mind or attempting to stop your advancement. You are
So I'm now on
now,
the main street.
yep, you are now on the main street. The streets of Waterdeep. You are in the North Ward. Sorry, the Sea Ward of Waterdeep. Um, you come out. Where the heck is my spot here on the map? You come out onto the Street of Whispers. It is
I-
interacting with Bliss Street.
I'm gonna see if I can flag down a taxi or walk up to a point where I can get one.
As you look around to try and find somebody that a taxi of sorts, a hired coach, as it were, in the city here, um, no one really seems to be close at all to this. In fact, there are people across the road that are walking on the sidewalks and streetways, but none of them are paying any mind to the garden itself. None of them turned and noticed your exit of the building, and the street itself around the garden here is bereft of foot traffic and carriages.
Huh.
It's
I'm gonna
it's
move along the road.
it's oddly tranquil and serene in this little bit. As you move further into the city, the hustle and bustle of the city catches up to you. You are suddenly overwhelmed by the chatter of nearby passerby from either on the streets next to you or inside various shops, and the familiar creak and turn of the wheels of coaches and carriages begins to catch up to you.
All right. Any of them hired coaches now?
It looks to be just traffic between local shops here, and maybe people on their way to get one place or another.
Ah, I'll keep walking then.
All right, you continue north up the Street of Whispers, and you finally reach the Street of Glances. At the corner of the street, there is a small post of the watch guards that had greeted you when you first entered the city. They are to the left. Across the street from them, there sits a small little shack. It looks to be more of kind of a rest stop to shield those who are waiting for a hired coach from the rain or any other weather that may or may not be coming by. It's kind of like a little cubby, hideaway cubby. There's a bench sitting inside of there. The structure itself is made of wood, and on the left-hand side of that, there is a sign that marks this as being the coach stop.
So that's across the street.
Yep.
I'm gonna look for a way to cross the street, and then I'm gonna head over there.
Alright, you come to the edge of the Street of Glances. To your right is the Street of Whispers that's running back south towards the Shrines of Natures and Gardens that you had just come from, House of Oakmere. To your left, As you look down the street, you can see the Great Wall that surrounds the city of Waterdeep. Um, Traffic to the left appears to be a trickle. If anything, there really isn't much going on there, as that is a dead end. There are a couple of coaches that go about halfway or so, let people off of it, they enter a nearby shop or whatever, and the coach turns around at the end of the dead end there and begins making its way back toward the center of the city. You feel if you go down that way, you probably have an easier time crossing the street.
I'll go down that way then.
Alright, turn left and make your way down. You get about halfway down the street. There's a crosswalk marked for you to cross, and there's a city watchman just standing there, twiddling a whistle about his finger, and he's just whistling a song himself, watching those that are approaching and leaving their way. As he sees you approach, he raises his hand and brings the whistle up to his lips and lets out a loud tweet, and the traffic that is approaching comes to a slow and steady stop, and he just motions for you to cross the street.
I shall cross the street.
Easy enough to do. You are across the street. To your right leads back down toward leads deeper into the city toward the North Ward and the hired coach stop.
To the coach stop.
All right, you approach the coach stop. There are three other individuals sitting on this bench. Two of them appear to be humans. One of them is a dwarf. The dwarf individual has what looks to be a warhammer, though the head of the hammer is resting on the ground, and he's using the handle of itself as more of a cane.
I approach, but I don't quite sit on the bench. I just kind of lean up against the wall.
All right. Um, so you're waiting for a coach at this point.
Yep.
Alrighty. Makai and Lacuna, the pair of you are currently in the tap room of Tim's Towering Tavern, where you have been given rooms for the 10-day while the Troll Skull Manor is being renovated. You are enjoying a nice breakfast after having a comfortable night's sleep. What would you like to do?
I think I am going to read more of my grandmother's journal.
Okay.
So, house still under reno?
It is the end of the 10-day. You are pins and needles, nervous yet excited to see what has transpired during this past 10-day with the manor.
I kind of am weird. Oh god, I want to see the house.
You want to see the house.
Yeah, I want to go back to the house and see what Sin did to my bedroom and my turret, all that fun stuff.
All that fun stuff. Uh, Miss Lacuna, you see Makai standing up, having hastily finished her breakfast and making a quick retreat to the door. Are you motioning to follow, or are you going to stay put and continue reading your book?
I'm going to stay put and continue reading my book.
Alrighty. With that, Makai, you leave Tim's Towering Tavern, ironically named as his tavern is only 2 stories tall, and make your way down the street toward Troll Skull Manor. As you approach the manor, the facade of the building itself has been completely restored with a little extra to it. The rotten wooden balconies have been replaced. They are all made of a darkened, near pitch black metallic material. The support posts that had been previously in place of an old, aged, and weathered oak have also been replaced with this dark metallic material. Let me take a look here at yeah, so your passive perception. Uh, Taking a look at these, you do notice that um, the support pillars on the exterior of this that are reaching up to the edge of the balcony have got an intricate lattice, almost vine-like design, um, kind of melded into the metal itself. It's not really carved away in it. It looks as almost if somebody took the metal and with brute force, squeezed and molded it, bending it by hand to give it this very organic look. And you're fairly sure if you wanted to, you could climb that with ease as if it were maybe a ladder.
Huh.
Um, the exterior of the house itself has been reclad in stonework, so it is no longer a wooden shingled exterior. All the windows have been replaced. They are crystal clear without blemish or scratch. The turret that sits atop the den that the Dark Elf Zero had declared to be his abode uh, has also been refurbished. The exterior edges, the corners of the turret, have a very thin rail of this black metal inlaid as if to further support the tower. Each of the windows there have been replaced with a pane of this same glass that you see on the ground level. The shingles of the building have been replaced. They are clean, cut, and pristine. It looks almost brand new.
Nice. I'm scared to go inside, but I'm gonna go inside. Have we picked up furniture, by the way, from the guy we bought furniture from? I don't think we did.
No, the only furniture that has been purchased for this building, as you, I'll move you inside the tap room here. The tap room itself has been fully refurbished. Um, you assume that likely Sandor had gone after construction had been finished and picked up the order of furniture that you had placed for the tap room. There are new tables and chairs set across, and the bar in here has been refinished. The top of it replaced with a hardy deep oak, almost reddish color. Um, the fireplace that had been previously battled in the damaged in the battle with the bugbears and hobgoblins has been completely repaired. Um, any mark of damage or scratch to that is now non-existent, and the floors have all been pulled up and replaced with planks of a very clean-looking, almost reddish oak hardwood floor, matching the bar top.
Nice.
It's very clean
I'm gonna go
looking.
up. I'm gonna go upstairs.
All right, to go upstairs, you have to exit the tap room and go around the side of the building. Where are you heading upstairs?
To my bedroom.
All the way up to your bedroom?
Yeah.
All right, so you move to the upstairs of the building, paying no attention to anything that has been done in the lower floors of the building, making a beeline up to your bedroom. Um, the windows in here have all been replaced. The window frames themselves are made of the same dark metal material. Uh, aside from that, the rest of the framework looks to be made of similar, familiar wood that had been here previously, though it is replaced where damage had been evident. The fireplace has been repaired and cleaned. It now looks as though you can comfortably start a fire in there without worrying about burning the building down.
Nice.
Beyond that, this room is bare. There is no furniture present.
Yeah, I need to buy furniture. Should probably go back to that guy that we placed taproom furniture. What?
You place an
Is
order
this where
with
we
him
bought?
for taproom furniture.
Yeah. I think I need to go back to that guy and buy bedroom furniture now that the house is
Habitable.
yeah. Oh, where's Ghosty dude?
You gonna go look for Ghosty Dude?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I guess back down to the tap room because I think that's where I saw him the first.
Yeah, that would be where you last saw him. Uh, while she's doing that, Edward, where are you asking this coach to take you?
Troll Skull Manor.
All right, it's going to take probably about an hour or so with the morning traffic to get you there, but he says no problem, sir. It'll take about an hour or so to get there with the traffic in the morning here. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. I'll get you there safely, and that'll be 1 silver for the ride.
I toss him a gold coin because I don't have any silver.
He looks at it, eyes wide and shocked, and goes, "I'll try to get you there quicker, sir."
I just smile and hop in.
Alrighty. You're in the carriage making your way to Troll Skull Manor. Makai, are you looking at any particular room on your way down, or are you just beelining it down to the tap room?
I'm trying to figure out if we still have to walk through Lacuna's bedroom to get downstairs.
No. So the way up to your room is here in the hall. This is a door
Right.
right here. And down here, these are the steps that go outside.
Okay, I was looking at the steps on the left. I guess that's balcony.
Yeah, these steps on the left are on the balcony.
I don't want to like bust into everybody's room.
You
It's
totally
like
do.
I do, but at the same time, okay, screw it, nobody's here. I'm gonna go bust into Zero.
As you enter the room, this room is now fully furnished. Um, it is a very dark, almost black wood. There are various dressers, drawers, accoutrements, weapon stands hanging on the wall, and a couple of stands that are set aside with suits of armor hanging upon them. In the grand and out in this turret hall here rests a large bed. Sitting on the edge of the bed, you see Zero chatting comfortably with a dark elven woman.
Oops. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Didn't realize people were here.
As you approach, he just kind of like, "Oh, hey, is something I can help you with, Makai?"
No, I was just wandering the house after the renovations and snooping, and
He smirks and just kind of, "Okay."
I'm gonna go peek at Lacuna's private bathroom. Sorry, Lacuna.
No, you're not.
All right. As you enter Lacuna's private bath, there is a large, comfortable tub sitting opposite the fireplace here in this room. A wash tub or little wash basin and toiletry is sitting up near this corner here, and there has been a door added that allows easy access to the bedroom.
You know, if I was crude, I'd fart in everybody's bedroom. But I
But
am
I'm
not that
not
person.
crude.
I am not that person. I'm gonna go back downstairs and look for Ghosty because I forgot his name.
Lif was his name.
What was it?
Lif, Lif. As you enter the tap room, um, from the corner of your eye, you swear you saw something, some figure, standing behind the bar, but as you turn to look, nothing's there.
Huh?
If you'd like, you can make a perception check.
Yes. Can't roll for shit today.
Uh, Looking around, you mumble and mutter to yourself, "Where is Liv?" Um, as you turn and you're about to leave, from the behind the counter, um, a figure appears and says, "Can I help you with something?"
Oh shit.
You turn around and suddenly Liv is standing there, in all his spectral glory. There is a large, broad smile on his face, and he seems quite happy and content.
So you like the house?
He nods and says, "Thanks for sprucing her up. She needs a little bit of love."
Awesome. Well, as long as Ghosty's happy and not gonna be a poltergeist, I'm okay with it.
"You need help with anything?"
Nope. Just looking at the renovation.
He shrugs, reaches under the counter, and as he brings his hand up, a bottle of spectral booze appears in his hand. In his right hand, a cup appears, and he just kind of like pours himself a cup and drinks. As he goes to place the bottle down, it disappears again, and he's just holding a cup and drinking a liquid that doesn't quite exist.
Huh. Oh yeah, we should
Alrighty, into the basement you go. The leaks and cracks in the wall have been shored up. The floor has been leveled and smoothed out. All of the rotting and neglected barrels of wine and ale have been since removed. The bloodstains of the previous occupant of this room have also been cleaned up.
That was a lot of previous occupants.
I was about to say, there were some dead people, and that dwarf. That what happened to that dwarf? I'll have to ask people. I'm gonna go look at the meeting room.
As you step into the room, you feel a powerful, oppressive, yet protective presence come over you.
So I guess Sin wasn't lying when he said he was gonna try and enchant it or get it enchanted.
Um, when you leave that room, the feeling of oppression leaves you, and you have an almost uncomfortable, longing feeling to return to the room.
Huh?
The outside world feels suddenly unsecure to you.
That's weird. Well, I've pretty much looked everywhere except people's bedrooms. Well, a couple of people's bedrooms.
All right, well, I'm going to say this time you took walking about the house and inspecting anything that was changed or repaired and the like. It's taken you probably about an hour and a half or so. Lacuna, have you remained sitting at the inn reading your book during this time?
And copiously taking notes. I am a thorough student.
Fair enough. Let's see here. With that, Edward, you arrive at the front step of Troll Skull Manor. As you arrive, the driver of your coach is giving you a little bit of background history of Troll Skull Alley. And he warns you and says, "Now, Troll Skull Manor, it's been a little neglected over the past 50 years or so. I'm not sure why you want to go there, but to each their own." And as he comes up, the carriage comes to a sudden halt. And he's sitting there at a little slack-jawed, staring at the building as if surprised to see it in the condition that it's in.
Well, I'd say it's not neglected any longer.
Turns back to you, his jaw still hanging loose, and kind of goes, "I'd say you're right, sir."
I step off and tell him to have a good day.
You too, sir. And he slowly turns the carriage around. As he does, his eyes don't leave the building. Coming from the northern road down into Trollskull Alley, you do notice there is a rather ornate window pane set up inside the large um, turret-like structure of the second floor of the building.
Curious.
Do you? The script seems very similar to Elvish and Sylvan, though there are faint differences. You can't quite make out what it's supposed to be saying.
I simply smile and I go, well, I'm investigating that later.
You are now standing at the front steps of the tap room to Trollskull Manor.
I assume this is the door.
That's a door.
I'm gonna knock on it.
The door's knocking. Makai, you are in the tap room. Are you answering the door?
Yep, I'm gonna go answer it.
You answer the door.
Hi. What can I do for you?
Good morning. I'm looking for someone, and last I heard he lived here.
Who were you looking for?
A dwarf, about yay high. Sometimes goes by the name of Sandor.
Well, this is his house. I have not seen him.
Huh.
on in. Like,
Thank you.
You care to describe your character to Makai?
Like physically,
Yeah, what does your character look like? What does she see as you enter the tap room?
a young human with brown hair. God damn it.
He says, God damn it.
No. He has brown hair. He's clean shaven. He's a bit scrawny, light skin, and emerald eyed, with a lute on his back.
oh, great. Well, I'd offer you any beer if we had any. This place was just recently renovated,
As you say that,
so
Makai, from behind the bar stands Lif, who appears again. This time, um, you hear this familiar clink, 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 clink as bottles are being set out. And he leans over the bar and says, What do you be having, sir?
oh, I guess Lith will serve you. Thanks, Lith.
Um, Water.
Right away, sir. And he turns, and you see as he almost appears to like walk into the floor and disappears. A couple minutes later, he kind of appears like he's walking up steps, coming out of the floor, and with a bottle in his hand. He reaches under the counter, pulls a cup out, sets it down, and pours in what appears to be water. Slides the cup in your direction.
I take the cup. I raise it and say, "Thank you, sir," and I drink it.
It's cool, clean, clear water. Very refreshing.
Wait,
Yep.
Lith, can you pull anything up out of the floor?
He turns to you and just smiles.
I'll keep that in mind.
I'm just kind of in a daze and I'm seeing a ghost.
It's a half elven ghost. He's dressed as one would imagine a barkeep would have dressed maybe 100 years or so out of fashion at this point, if not older. He has slack suspenders on, going down to what you presume to be pants, a short cut shirt that is neatly cropped and trimmed just above the elbows. It appears to be buttoned down. There is some kind of pattern, though it's hard to discern what the pattern is on the shirt because, well, he's a ghost. You can fucking see through him.
I put my cup down and think to myself, "This is the strangest thing I'll probably see all day."
Don't worry, he's a nice ghost.
Well, if he wasn't, I'd be dead right now. So
Beyond that, it is a clean, albeit a little dim tavern um, for this late morning. The sun is slowly creeping through the windows. The tables all appear to be cleaned and polished. Bar stools themselves are comfortably padded, and the hearth that sits in the center of the tap room is currently cold. No flame lit. In this little rotunda over here, you do see a small stage set up. It kind of half wraps around the corner here. Currently, no one present upon it. The only two in this tap room living are you and the woman sitting beside you at the bar.
I take a look at the stage and then took another look at Makai and go, "So how'd you and Sandor meet?"
Surprisingly, I think they were getting lost, and well, I'm a native here, so helped them out.
I chuckle. I said, "Sounds just like it."
But they drug me along, and then somehow we have a house, and fucking crazy shit happens. It's fun.
Uh, do tell. So how many times has Sandor nearly gotten you killed?
A couple. A couple of times. I kind of point to you had a lute.
Yeah.
I point to it. I'm like, so you play?
I take it off and I start playing.
Roll a perform check for me.
Heavy metal.
Well, whatever song you were attempting to play, you perform it flawlessly.
Makai claps. Good job.
I bow. I play every now and then.
The way he performed with the lute, you think every now and then probably means at least 4 to 5 times a day.
Okay.
He's clearly quite skilled and proficient with the instrument.
So what were you looking for Sandor for?
I got a letter from him not too long ago. It did sound good.
Oh.
Was he acting odd?
Yeah, he was kind of like dying almost. I couldn't make it out. I have no idea what he was being afflicted by, but I haven't seen him honestly since.
About how long ago was that?
10 days?
I take a deep breath and kind of mutter to myself that Sandor's an idiot, and I kind of walk over and examine the stage.
Stage itself sits maybe a foot or so off the ground. The ceiling here is a little higher than the rest of the tap room. Looking around between the corners of the room where the stage is set and up above you, it's about 2 feet or so higher than the tap room itself, and there are triangular braces set into the floor as if to hold a great weight above the floor.
Huh. It's a nice place. I don't believe that Sandor actually invested in this.
Well, yeah, he did. He, me, and a couple of others are pretty much the owners of the place. Although I think one of them put more money into it.
I smile to myself and I'm gonna think, let me guess. It's the one who I'm gonna claim who supposedly can't touch the ground anymore?
I nod, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That's interesting.
Well, I honestly don't know where everybody is. So if you want a tour, we could take a tour of the house. I just got through doing.
Sure.
Well, upstairs, we have to go outside,
Yeah, stairs inside are, reserved for the nobility.
right?
As you
Our
step up
lovely. Oh,
into
go ahead.
the common room here, it is the room itself is of the same quality as that of the tap room. It's nice home, rich woods for the flooring and the walls itself. The stonework of the hearth is looks to be new, it's fresh. The pane of glass over here on the far window is interesting in that you can clearly see the exterior outside, but the light of the day seems somehow dimmer through this window than the others.
Impressive.
I'm gonna knock on Zerio's door and let him know that we have a guest, and I'm showing him around the house.
For a couple of minutes, the door opens and he's just standing there wearing comfortable dark green, looks almost kind of silken clothing. The armor he was wearing is sitting on a stand across the doorway here.
Oh wait, I didn't catch your name. Did I catch your name?
No, you didn't. Edward Thawne, at your service. And I do a bow.
Zero's Edward. He's looking for Sandor. I have no idea where Sandor is. I'm showing him the house. Hopefully that's a
He shrugs and motions for you guys to come in. As he does, he goes over to a desk on the side wall over here, opens some drawers, eventually finds what he appears to be looking for, and comes over to you, Edward, and hands you a letter.
Thank you. What is it? I opened the letter.
He says, Sender asked me to give that to whoever came looking for him. Don't know what it is.
Wow, he finally had a brainwave.
He was more of a run in and smash it kind of fellow.
Yeah, I guess some people don't change.
As the three of you were talking, the dark elven woman comes up and just kind of steps up beside him at his left shoulder and gently places a hand on the left shoulder. And he turns to regard her and turns to you guys and says, "Oh, this is Xenophine. She was helping us do the enchantments on the house here. If the rest of you are present, we can finish those up."
Oh, nice.
She just waves and says hi.
I examined them both, and I am turned to Zero, and I suppose you're the one that Sandor talked about.
Kind of cocks a curious eyebrow. Do tell.
I turn to her and I say, she doesn't strike me as one who melds with shadows very well.
Um, he just kind of smiles, this almost cat-like grin, and doesn't say anything more.
I'll read the letter. What is in it?
You tell me. You never told me what you were putting in that letter.
Um, I would say that it's basically him saying that he's going north to Thornhold, and that's pretty much it. And some stuff about what he was doing with some of the Lord's Alliance.
Sounds good to me. So he regales you on the sordid past of the family, the dwarven adoptive family that you had been brought into. Um, Conflict between various members of the family, some strange mentioning of a family hierarchy. There are a couple of crude drawings of what appear to be um, little tablets or tables, maybe, that have dwarvish written in them. Um, it alludes more towards some sort of elemental symbol than anything of rank. From what you recall briefly of the time you spent with the family growing up, as you mature faster, given your heritage than that of dwarves, you didn't stay there for more than a decade or two at best before moving on to find something that felt more comfortable to you. Um, while you did witness some conflict within the household while you were there, you didn't stick around long enough or linger long enough to truly understand it. You were more kind of, as soon as it was going on, you made a beeline retreat out of the room or out of the city itself, and sometimes, depending on the level of conflict. You do know that something happened between Sandor and some of his biological siblings that caused him to basically be ousted from the family, for lack of better terms. From the way he has written this letter, you feel he went there with, you hope, the intention to settle things down and resolve these conflicts once and for all. Though knowing Sandor, you feel it's likely not going to be the result of things.
I take the letter, I fold it up, and I just kind of lean to the door, against the wall, and just kind of breathe heavily.
You doing okay there?
Oh yeah, yeah. Thornhold is in an uproar, I bet right now.
Oh, place was always an uproar, so far as the time I've spent on the surface, said Serial.
Yeah, it was all when I was there too, but probably more so now. Oh, the letter family matters.
Oh, look like you need a drink, friend.
Oh no, no drinks for me. I don't hold it very well. And neither did Sandor, on all honesty.
We saw that quite a few times too.
Oh, I bet.
Laguna, are you going to spend this entire day researching your book, or are you going to eventually make your way back to the manor?
Um, the strange voice that occasionally narrates my life makes a strong suggestion that I should probably go and see what's going on in the house, so I begrudgingly pack up my stuff.
It's like the white floaty hand in Final Fantasy.
Over
The
here.
floaty hand.
But
What's
no,
this?
I pack up my stuff, I bid everyone a good day, and decide to head back to the manor to see what is going on in the place that is not technically my house, but yet somehow is kind of like my house.
All right. As you approach the manor, much as Makai's response was, the place is familiar yet unfamiliar to you. It is clean, almost new looking. The metal that has been used to replace the structures you quickly identify as being adamantine, something that you don't often see used for structures, and you have a slight twinge of regret passing over you as you think, what a waste. So much more could have been done with that.
I also silently think to myself, well, if I ever need metal in a hurry, I walk up to the house and walk in.
You going into the tap room? Your character token's there on the map. You can move around where you're going.
Oh, hey, I'm here. So I walk into the tap room and kind of do a little twirl. I'm pleasantly surprised. Not that I was expecting it to be terrible, but just how nice everything actually is.
It's clean and put together. It does occur to you that some decorating could be done. Maybe a few paintings or something on the walls.
I will have to ask the crew. And I find myself slightly regretting that I did not officially put my name on anything, even though I know it was for a good reason.
You do also recall that you have some enchanting to finish up on the pantry down there.
Oh, yeah. Nope. No rest for the wicked. I make my way to the pantry.
Okay.
Would I have all the stuff on me there, or do I have to go get it first?
You would have had, since you had the things and arrangement set with the gnomes over in the Inspired Hands to have
That
things delivered here,
that's right.
the items that you were looking for, enchantment wise, are all resting in a neat little pile in the corner of the pantry here.
Well, I gather my stuff up,
As you go to collect
and
them, there is a little note on top of the pile there, written in Gnomish, and there is a gearworked heart drawn quite meticulously on the cover of the letter.
I have the best friends. I smile widely, and I open the note and read it.
Um, the note reads, Lacuna, my sweet, I have brought everything you need and then some to complete your enchantment here. I saw some things that I thought may help improve it, so I took the liberty of adding them as well. I do hope you find the time to join me again one evening, or two perhaps. And there's a little winky smiley face at the end of it.
Gnomish emojis.
Yes, the gnomish use emojis.
I smile widely and make a mental note that to send over perhaps something sweet for him. And what improvements did he put in?
So you find everything you need to complete the um, enchantments to maintain the temperature of this building or the room here, along with everything you need to maintain a spell that prevents things from decaying. It's more commonly used by priests and clerics to prevent the decay of bodies, though the research here is set up so that you're fairly sure it will, from the way it has been written out here, prevent the decay of any sort of soft goods or meat as well. So anything you kept in here would, in theory, so long as you prevented any sort of animals to get in here, remain indefinitely.
I raised my eyebrows in surprise. They were extremely thorough. But it's definitely a pleasant surprise.
As you flip through there and you look toward the end of the notes, there is the small amendment of his added details. He suggests you add a triggered enchantment to go over any of the doorways that anything you are holding at the time when you enter the structure is cleansed of all toxins.
That's a good idea. I make a second mental note. I will have to invite him over for dinner.
You find all the required materials to complete all of the enchantments as described among the things.
I start working on the enchantment. I'm assuming that takes a little bit of time.
Given the complexity of the enchantments, even with the assistance of the research given to you and the time you've taken to study the books that you had purchased in the previous 10 day, it's still going to take you the better part of the day to complete and accomplish these enchantments. With that, I am going to need you to make an Arcana check and mm, do that at advantage, given that you have all this prepared research.
I
Natural
think I win.
20. Yes, you do. Um, the excitement overtakes you and you find yourself unable to hold back. You can't stop yourself from immediately diving into work. You begin hurriedly spreading things about, taking careful note of each of the pieces of research here, and as you were doing so, you notice that there is written in Gnomish on the edges of the various arcane glyphs and sigils and charts, and arrays and circulars and whatnot that are used to complete the enchantment. Little notes uh, with suggestions on how to properly arrange and array your various components and materials, allowing you the most efficient way to complete your enchantment. Um, with a little smile to yourself, you follow these notes, and this allows you to begin the first steps of the enchantment at a rapid pace, and shortening the amount of time required to do this by half. So you are off to a good start. We will do another check in a little bit.
But so yeah, I roll up my sleeves. I deposit Cookie somewhere safe, and I get to work.
All right. With that, the rest of you guys up here in the den as that begins. Um, in the middle of your conversation here with Edward, there is the dark elven woman tugs lightly at Zero's sleeve and motions for him to lean closer. He leans a little closer and she leans up against him and whispers something in his ear, and he nods. And says, perhaps we should go down to the tap room.
Sounds like a good idea.
So the four of you enter the tap room. The dark elven woman comes around behind the counter and goes to see Lacuna in the midst of going through the enchantment thing. Uh, points to her and to the rest of the three of you. Uh, Zero nods at her and speaks in a language that none of you understand, and she just kind of nods and waves at you, Lacuna, and goes back around the counter to join the rest of the group.
I pay next to no attention because I'm hyper focused on my task.
That you are.
Oh, Edward, that's Lacuna. She lives here.
Uh, Quite a focused one, huh?
Yeah.
He walks around and sits down at the stool here, as does the dark elven woman. She sits down next to him. Zero says, Percy's finally getting to work on enchanting the pantry as we agreed upon.
Oh, so she's an arcanist.
Of sorts.
That catches my attention. Of sorts.
He smirks and waves at you and says, Hello, Miss Arcanist.
I mutter something rude and demonic and get back to work.
The dark elven woman over here perks up and responds to you in demonic. Such horrid language should not be used in pleasant company.
Good thing the company isn't pleasant.
She smirks at you. It turns her attention back to those sitting at the bar.
I briefly wonder for a second why this strange woman knows demonic, because I don't really know much about dark elves, and then I get back to work because I have the attention span of a tadpole.
Fair enough. Ah. Well then, Zuriel says, looking around at the rest of the gear here. Edward, was it?
I nod.
I'm not sure where Sandor was. Last I heard him muttering about something of a physician and walking off toward the northern part of the town.
Oh, it's as good a start as any.
Though from the way you reacted to that letter, I have feared that perhaps he simply left town at this point.
Oh, I had a feeling that was going to happen before I got here, but I kind of stop and pause and gather my thoughts a little bit. Obligated to come down here first.
He cocks an eyebrow as if you've caught his attention. Obligated how?
Oh, there were pirates, there were bandits. I think I might have I killed the captain in his own quarters. I saved a child and had to bring her down here.
Quite the daring and dashing duo, aren't you?
Oh, I'd hardly call myself that.
And modest, too. He smirks and snickers. Well, I'd offer you a place to stay or a bed, or perhaps Sandor's old spot, but I feel my room is the only one that's been furnished besides this tap. And he kind of motions in a gesture to the entire room around him.
I have a bedroll. It'll work. I've been in far worse places.
He nods and kind of mumbles to himself. I think we all have at one point or another. With that, you folks, is there anything else that you would like to do on this day?
What time is it?
It's about noon now, close to lunchtime.
I think I'm gonna wait an hour and then I'm gonna try going north and see if I can find a physician.
All right,
I'm gonna take out my loot and play a little bit.
playing a ditty. Do another perform check. What kind of song are you attempting to play?
I don't know. Just whatever comes off the top of my head.
So just random chords then?
A little bit.
All right. You just start off strong, and as your thoughts become muddled and a little lost in reflection, you stumble here or there and lose a couple of chords, and there's a flinch and a twinge of pain crossing the dark elven woman's face before you manage to pull yourself back into focus and resume your tune. You manage to end the song on note, though there is a bit of off-key struggle about halfway through. Lacuna, this catches your attention and slightly interrupts your work. I need you to make another arcane check for your enchantments. You can make this one an advantage as well.
Okay.
You manage to keep yourself on task and maintain the pace that you were working at previously, though the sound of a lute being crudely played offends you ever so slightly, and you find yourself turning and glaring out at the figure who is sitting at the corner of the bar here, playing somewhat haphazard and hurriedly the lute.
I put the loot away and I'm like, and I kind of go them to leave.
Perhaps we should find ourselves some food before we stumble over any more chords.
I'm going to a physician.
He sort of waves at you and says, "Good luck."
Thank you.
Is there anything you would like to do, Makai, while this is going on?
No. Now that the house is fixed, I need to buy stuff for my bedroom, but that can wait to progress story.
Alrighty. Um, Edward, I need you to make an investigation check for me.
+2. Yep, I don't see anything.
So you wander out the northern part of town and you think, I probably have better luck finding something on foot. I don't need to get the carriage involved in this. I can just go door to door or look around. There's probably a sign or something. About 2.5 hours pass, and you are now meandering, somewhat lost in the northern half of the northern ward of the city of Waterdeep, closer toward the edge of the wall that is dividing the city from the outer wall village. You have
Wonderful.
no clue where the fuck you are.
Well, what's in my immediate area?
Oh, in your immediate area, you are currently standing on one of the back streets that is behind the front row of several establishments, shops, structures, and the like. Um, Immediately around you, it looks to be houses. There are children running about playing here and there, but nothing really catches your attention at this point.
I guess I'm gonna try and get on the main street.
All right. As you meander your way through the streets of the northern ward, you find yourself stumbling upon a street that appears to be overrun by many cats. There are close to 3 dozen cats just meandering about lazily in the street here, feeding on scraps from surrounding butcher shops. Um, there are many carved stone heads of people and animals that adorn the corners and sidebars of the buildings along this alleyway.
And here I thought the ghost was going to be the weirdest thing I saw today.
As you walk your way down the aisle, you hear strange voices twinging and whispering in your ears. He's that way. No, he's this way. Over here. I have gold. The cat. It's under the cat. That one's made of diamonds.
Okay then.
As you continue down, you hear more rumors. One of them, little voice whispers, the butcher's wife. She likes the tailor. The tailor likes the butcher. No one's friends of the tanner. And another one whispers, the gold stone was taken by one of short stature, running in the shadows. Beware the many eyes, for the stalks lurk in the shadows. And finally, don't trust the cats. As you turn around, you see 64 eyes staring at you hungrily, licking their lips.
These eyes have lips?
The lips of the faces for the eyes. There are
And you are?
there are 32 cats staring at you, licking their lips, watching your movements carefully.
I'm going to keep moving.
Make a reflex save. Dexterity.
What's a reflex?
Make a dexterity save. You take 6 points of piercing damage as the coil of crossbow embeds itself in the rear left shoulder.
Oh, come on. I just got here.
You hear the echoing of hiss from the shadows of the alleyway and hurried footsteps.
I'm going to start running and trying to get the hell off of the street.
Alrighty, make another dexterity save. You take 6 more piercing damage as another crossbow embeds itself in your rear left shoulder. You hear cackling laughter. We got another one, boys! Make an athletics check for me. You manage to make it to the end of the alleyway. Um, as you go to turn the corner, 3 more crossbow bolts whiz past you and you hear plink, plink, plink as they bounce off the stone backing of a nearby building as you turn the alley and dash back out to the main street.
Well. No, that's a street that needs to be burned down.
Lacuna, I need you to make one more arcane check at advantage. Nicely done. You managed to close off the enchantments, suffusing the final ounces of willpower necessary to maintain and control the spells. You're fairly sure that their permanence is assured and they will maintain their strength for at least another decade or two before you have to worry about coming through and shoring things up again. But you have succeeded in completing the enchantment on the pantry.
I open my arms widely to my invisible audience and say, yes, I am a genius. Thank you.
From behind the bar, there's applause.
Thank you, thank you. I take a large, obviously exaggerated bow.
You hear the almost spectral cheering of at least a dozen what you presume to have been once patrons of the tap room echoing throughout the hall.
Alrighty, boys, beers are on left.
There's a cheer that goes through the tap room. Um, Makai, during the process of this enchantment going down, what have you been up to?
Um,
About
honestly,
three
yeah,
and a
go
half
ahead.
hours have passed, so is there anything you wanted to get done in 3.5 hours or so?
Um, I did want to plant stuff, like start my little druid garden in the up at the.
That could have easily been done in that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, for that, I would like you to make a nature check, please. Alright, anything in particular you're looking to plant?
No, honestly, it was just random. I hadn't got that far.
So just like flowers and stuff, or are you looking to plant like
Yeah.
vegetables?
Well, like everything from medicinal herbs to vegetables to flower.
Alright. With that roll, I will say that you have, from the way the sun is rising and coming around the peak here between the windows, you've discerned among the basing of these three windows here on the interior of the cell which of these spots would be best to hold flowers, vegetables, and herbs, or components for potions and the like. Between the two floors of the turret peak here, uh, you think, okay, yeah, it can be done. I need to go find the materials to do it, but it can be done. So you have, I would say, if you wanted, you can go outside of the place and find some dirt, like at nearby flower gardens or out just outside in the grass around the tavern itself. As for the actual plants you want to go in there, you're probably going to have to go see that oh so colorful herbalist.
Uh, I'll make my way to the weird herbalist.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna move you guys back out here to Trollskull Alley. Grab my brush. And this fellow here was the herbalist.
Which one?
It's the olive green circle I put on the one building down here.
Ah, okay.
So you step in the building, it's the familiar elven individual turns to you and says, "Hey man,
What's up,
how
Stoner?
the soap work for you, man?
It worked fine.
That's awesome, man. Woman, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna look around the shop, see if I well ask Stoner if he had any seed mixes for medicinal,
So
herbs and
yeah,
whatnot.
man. I got I got lots of plans. Follow me. And he motions for you to follow him. Follow him. He goes behind the counter and immediately turns left. And there's a flight of steps just behind the counter, around the corner of the wall there. And he just starts going up steps.
So I'll follow him up.
The steps open up into a large greenhouse that is set upon the roof of this building. Um, it's very humid in here and quite a bit warmer than it is outside. The interior of this greenhouse, there are damn near any plant you could think of. There are various flowers that are hanging from baskets and across the middle of the support structure. On baskets that are hanging along the wall, set up against the glass of the wall, there are various fruits and vegetables. In a small corner where there is a black sheet kind of held off, and um, it's hanging from a little just thread above the ceiling, so it's laying flat above a series of mushrooms and other small little plants that are in this bit of shadow. A quick glance, you can identify some of them as being like medicinal based herbs. Beyond that, there's just seasoning and the what. The guy has probably damn near anything you could probably want or look for up in this greenhouse.
I'll just ask for like an assortment.
An introductory box? I can do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Let me do that for you. That's a good idea. I should sell that. Hey, I'll sell you an introductory box. Get you like started in gardening, man.
Sure, dude.
Awesome, awesome. What do you think that's worth?
2 copper. No, I'm kidding. Uh, I'll give you 60
That seems like too much, man. I feel like 6 silver's good.
Okay. Sounds
Awesome.
good to me.
And he spends the next hour slowly and meticulously walking around this garden with a little pair of shears and a small basket with little baggies in it, and just goes and he begins to go through and very carefully harvests out the seeds and whatnot necessary for you to plant these in your own little garden. Um, as he goes through, he's just humming little songs like, yeah, little plants, happy little plants. It's a good little. No, I'm not hurting you, man. Relax, just hold still. He's just talking to himself and talking to the plants. But it takes him the better part of an hour to get it done. When he finally gets it done, he puts it all together in the box. He goes, turns his back to all the plants. He goes, sorry for having to take from your great bounty, man.
Thanks, dude. I'll hand him the 60 silver and think to myself that I'm so glad I did not go that way with my druidism. And I'm gonna leave.
Wait, I said 6 silver, man.
I gave you 6 silver.
You said 60. And he
I
starts
did.
counting out. 1, 2,
Oh my god.
3, 4, 5. It's about another 3 minutes or so before he counts out 54 silver pieces and hands them back to you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, dude.
May the morning Lord shelter you.
Uh huh.
And he goes back to dealing with his plants.
Oh, yeah, definitely glad I did not go the hippy dippy with my druidism. I'm gonna go back to the manor.
I mean, you can still make a change.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I hung out with sailors and helped them sail ships. So hippy dippy wasn't for me.
All right, well, you have everything necessary to complete your gardens now.
Yep,
Um,
I'll go back.
I'll say the remainder of the time that it takes Lacuna to finish doing her enchantments, you have successfully begun your garden and planting everything you wanted to get planted.
I'll let Lacuna know if she ever needs spell reagents or whatever. Feel free to grab.
If you want, you can use your Druidcraft cantrip to help the growth of these little plants along.
Oh, cool. I will definitely do that.
Yeah, with Druidcraft, you can make a flower blossom, a seed pod open, or a leaf bud bloom.
Woohoo! Yeah, I'll go
Okay,
do that.
so you go
I
through.
don't have to like
Yeah, no, you
do a
just
cast or anything.
nope. You just go through and you set everything in there. And once you've got everything set, you go through the process of doing the druidic rituals of your Druidcraft demands to coax these little plants into growth. With that, Edward, you are now on the main street outside of Many Cat's Alley. There are a couple of crossbow quarrels embedded in your left shoulder. What do you?
Wonderful. I'm gonna try and take him out.
Easy enough. You reach back and after a little bit of struggling, ow, ow. You are now holding two bloody crossbow quarrels as the blood begins to run down your back.
Is there anything unique about these crossbow bolts?
No, they just look like regular crossbow bolts.
Let's go. Ah. I guess press digitation on them and put them in my pack.
So, with a wave of your hand, the blood is cleansed off of these things, and you stow them away in your pack for future use if you still see need of them. As you are coming out of the alley, one of the nearby watchers, "Halt, citizen! Don't go down this alley. Strange happenings nearby."
I look at him and say, pray tell, do any of them involve cats?
He smiles and says, "Yes, many cats. They're not
I
quite as
already had the
friendly."
pleasure.
"Oh, are you all right, sir?"
Yeah, couldn't be better.
"Why don't you come with me, sir?" And he takes your arm and kind of like guides you along and pulls you to the corner of the street where there is a little stone hut that is painted in the same color as the watch uniform that he wears. Just a moment, sir. And he goes inside and rummages around a little bit, and he comes back a few minutes and says, "Yes, we're out of them, sir. Follow me, sir." And he grabs your arm and he hurries you along the path again. You walk about a block and a half or so before he leads you to a small, squat stone building set between two larger three-story structures you presume are probably houses from the way the facade of the building is set up and children are running about the street outside. And he just opens the door and walks inside and goes, "Percy! Percy! Percy, are you here?" And the dwarf comes out. Stop yelling. What can I do for you? This one had the unfortunate bit of going down the many cat's alley. Can you help him out? And he goes, "Oh, I can do that." Oh, and he pulls himself out of this leather chair, goes rummaging around the cabinet, pulls out a kit, and comes over to you. And says, "All right, where did you get bit, boy?"
I didn't get bit. I got shot with a crossbow.
"Oh, well then." And he goes back to his counter, puts that one away, and pulls a larger box, and puts it down on the counter and opens it up. And he begins pulling up bandages and stuff. "All right, well, where'd they get you?"
I point to my left shoulder.
"So, can you get this coat off or something so I can get to it?"
I take it off.
There we go. And he pulls out a couple of potions and vials. And he rummages around some things. And all right, let me see. Yeah, he pulls out bandages. He's got a little gauze and some tweezers. He's holding a cotton ball and he just starts dabbing the wound. And it suddenly feels cool and relaxing. And as he completes the process of bandaging you up, you recover 14 hit points as he wraps the wound with some soft linen bandages and ties them tight and goes, "There you are, good as new."
So, what is the deal with the alley with a ton of cats in it?
"Oh, some strays nearby, I think, imagine. There's some butchers and stuff there. Um, feather poultry shop. Cats probably just linger around there, looking for scraps and the like." I feel some ruffians probably take advantage of the confusion of all them cats and try and use it to mob people.
I smile and nod. Was looking for a doctor, but I guess I went the wrong way.
Well, you found one now. Aye, my doctor.
Have you had a patient named Sandor Blackstone come through here?
No, doesn't ring any bells.
Hmm.
Maybe one of my associates might have seen him. And he pulls out a notepad and writes down some names. He says, all right, if you go down here and you turn a wee bit around there and you take a south turn there and you turn right here and you walk a couple of blocks south of here, you'll find yourself at the corner of Windburn Way and Salem Street. Down there, you'll see there is the Waterdeep Broad Streets. Ignore them, they're all full of lies. You don't fucking believe anything they write. Don't trust them. Next to there, you'll find old Penny Shop. She's one of the physicians here in town. If Benny hasn't seen him, you can keep going down Sutherland Street past that Troll Skull Alley place, and you'll find Horn Street, and down there you'll find Herbert. He's the other one here in this part of town.
Thank you.
Is that? Stay away from them damn cats.
Noted.
Hey.
I'll get my stuff and I'll head on out.
All right.
Where's the sun at?
It's about midday now. Well, it's past midday actually. It's probably closer to 3 o'clock or so in the evening. Speaking of which, all of you have decided to skip lunch, and you are feeling quite famished at this point in the day.
I'm like, I'll find a taxi and I'll go from there.
I'm a druid. Shouldn't I photosynthesize or something? I'm hungry.
I think you got to be plant to photosynthesize.
I know. I'm gonna eat a good berry.
All right, there you go. Good berry consumed. Sustained.
Can I send Cookie out to get food for me?
Yes, you can.
Alrighty. I tie a tiny little bag with a couple of gold coins in there. And I pick up Cookie. First, I give her a big hug because she's my girl. And then I say, Cookie, I need you to go back to the tavern and just order a hot roast beef sandwich. You can let them keep all of the gold.
There's a mechanical meow, and it just bounds out and goes toward the door. And as it reaches the door of the tavern, you hear the scratch of the claws of the cat against the door. There's a creak at one of the seats in the tavern room, and someone gets up and goes. The door opens, and the cat skitters out, and the door closes again. About 15 minutes or so later, there's another at the door, and someone gets up again and opens the door. The cat comes bounding in, and little Cookie comes and sits next to you. And sitting on the back of the cat, strapped with various bits of linen and rope, is a sandwich wrapped in what looks to be wax paper. Just someone just like, all right, I guess I'll tie it to the cat then.
It's the best mental image ever. I scratch the kitty underneath her chin, say, "Good Cookie. What kind of treats do I give a cat like this?"
It's a mechanical cat. What kind of treats do you want to give a mechanical cat?
I find a little hexagonal nut that's soft, like the made out of a soft metal of some sort, and I give it to the cat as a treat.
The cat sniffs it, goes like the pantomime is the motion of sniffing things, and then there's a pat and there's a ping, 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 as it goes rattling off into the tap room.
I tried.
It sits down and curls up. It just kind of like it tries to mimic the sound of purring, though it sounds more like a small engine revving as the cat just sits there and like lays on the ground. The sandwich is still tied to the back of Cookie, by the way.
I go over to Cookie and gently attempt to unwrap the sandwich from around her body.
All right, so you begin untying the sandwich. The first is it looks to be a hemp or linen rope that's tied around the center of it. And as you do undo that one, you notice that there are about 30 other ropes that someone's just like, I'm not sure if I'll stay. I'll just do that one, and then I'll do that one, and then I'll do that one. Uh, After about 5 minutes or so of undoing all of these and getting the sandwich off of her, there's a note laying under the sandwich against the cat's body, and it says, I hope this makes it to you. Thanks. Come again. But it is a now lukewarm roast beef sandwich with all the fixings you requested.
Good enough for me. I eat the sandwich.
Okay. As you are eating the sandwich,
Should I roll for taste?
do you want to roll for taste?
Yeah, I want to see how well the sandwich made it
Or
through.
roll for taste.
Is it just 1d20?
Yeah, roll a d20.
Oh no.
I think that's acceptable.
That's not too
It's passable. It's good. It the bread itself is kind of torn and crumpled here and there where it looked like someone tightened the rope maybe a little too much. It's kind of squished here and there. Toward the end of the sandwich, it looks like someone tightened it way too much and almost cut through the sandwich entirely. Um, Aside from that, it's good. It's a little cold, but it's good. Someone snuck an onion in there. You didn't order onions.
It's okay.
As you are attempting to consume your roast beef sandwich, the Zirio and the Dark Elven woman kind of haphazardly make their way through the remnants of whatever you used to do enchantment and kind of step over you, making their way into the kitchen. Um, the two of them are having a comfortable conversation, a light banter, I suppose you could say, in a language you don't understand. They seem to be very friendly and comfortable around each other, and they go in the kitchen. Zero comes in and just kind of gathers some things out of the pantry and goes back in there, and between the two of them, they're cooking something.
Um, I basically don't pay attention because I am me and don't really pay attention to that stuff right now. Especially when I have a half decent roast beef sandwich.
There you go. However, that little cat that's following Zero around, little Uzzums, comes, poofs in, and lands on the back of Cookie, and just starts licking the back of the cat.
I look at Usums and I look at Cookie. What's Cookie doing?
It's Cookie looks quite content. It doesn't really seem to be paying attention to it. The remnants of whatever grease or whatever that seeped through your roast beef sandwich are being licked up by Uzzums off of the back of Cookie.
I can't blame Usums. It's a good sandwich.
About halfway through licking, it pauses, tongue still sticking out of its mouth, and looks up at you as you are mid bite of the roast beef sandwich.
bad. Uh-oh.
I give Usums a look. I'm bigger than you.
There's a poof and a little cloud of fey dust, and sitting on your shoulders is Uzzums, and it's just licking its lips and looking down at your sandwich. And there's a very soft purring in your ear.
I sigh and decide to make the best of it, dig into the sandwich a little bit, pull out some roast beef, and give it to Uzzum.
Uzzum happily takes the roast beef from you and purrs loudly, sitting on your shoulder, just chewing at the meat.
I guess I proceed to finish my sandwich, and every time Uzzum sounds done, I rip off another small piece of beef and give it to.
The cat is quite enamored with you now. By the time you finish the sandwich, it looks a little disappointed but still happy and sits down, curls up next to Cookie, and goes to sleep.
Hmm, what a cute cat. and I pull out a scroll. I'm sure I have in one of my pockets and just sit and read it. Nothing important, just something to read.
All right, easy enough to do. Um, Edward, you have reached another one of these carriages for hire. Where would you like to go?
What time is it roughly?
Um, at this point, it's probably about 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon.
I think I'll head back to Troll Skull.
Easy enough. It takes you about 15 minutes. You feel kind of silly because it occurs to you that while you were off looking for the physicians, you probably walked around the same block, maybe one or two streets over, a half a dozen times. You walked in circles a lot. It's almost like a straight beeline right back to it. He's like, oh yeah, that's easy to go. I'm gonna go out here. I'll take a left and poop right there.
I also mused to myself that no one will ever know.
With that, you are back at Troll Skull Manor. It's about 4:30 or so in the afternoon at this point in time.
I politely knock on the door.
Makai, I'm assuming you're up in your turrets playing with your gardens right now.
I don't see my token, but I think I would have been done by now.
All right. So where do you want to be? You're at the front door of the tap room currently.
Oh, yeah, there I am. Um, I'll just be in the room area.
All right. Well, you hear a light knocking at the door. Then
Okay. I will go open the.
open the door. Edward's standing there.
Oh, Edward, you sure look like worse for wear.
I I don't know if I want to talk about it.
Well, I beckon him in, close the door.
This city is strange.
Did you find your physician?
I found one. He gave me a list of names. And an entire street filled with cats and crossbowmen.
Wow,
And
that is pretty.
apparently voices that can speak into your head.
Oh, fun.
You wouldn't
I
happen to
mean,
know anything about a stone that people are looking for, right?
not off the top of my head. That's what I know about this alley from living in Waterdeep.
You have heard rumors of the Many Cats Alley. Um, None of them are very pleasant. Several of them speak of the various carved stone heads of people and animals speaking in cryptic whispers of those who attempt to walk the alley alone.
Okay.
There are several other infamous alleys throughout the city that you have heard rumors about. The one he mentioned likely is Many Cats Alley.
But as for your stone, no, I have not. Who was looking for whatever stone?
They didn't say exactly. Something about a lot of stalks and don't trust cats.
Ominous.
And also apparently about a love triangle between the butcher's wife and some other person, and no one apparently was friends with the tanner. I just
Hmm.
kind of rub my hands on my temple like that. I've had a long day.
Um, as you are doing that, there's another knocking at the door.
I'm gonna open the door.
All right. As you open the door up, there is a individual. Move this here. Who is standing at the door? He is a salted northerner. He is a male human, Alaskan commoner, reddish skin. or tan. He's looks to be, from the way his clothing is arranged, may have once come from money, and he's trying to still cling to it in some sense. Um, it's a little heavy set. His head's going bald, and he has a handkerchief in his right hand, and he's just kind of like dabbing some sweat off his forehead. And he goes, "Oh, hello! I didn't expect anyone to be here.
Then why were you knocking on the door if you didn't expect anybody to be here?
Well, I saw all the flurry of activity at this place recently, and I was just curious to see if whoever happened to come into ownership of the place was around."
That'd be me and my associates.
I see. Well, I recently started a business myself in the area here. I have opened up a little bit of a pub around the corner here. If you find yourselves in the need for a bit of a drink and reprieve, it's Friends Brews just around the corner here.
Okay.
I want to roll inside.
Roll inside. This guy is not being
Damn.
entirely honest with you. He, from what you can gain, the way he's standing himself and looking around your corner, he's not really paying attention to Makai when he's talking to her. He's kind of like leaning around her, and he keeps getting a little closer, just a little closer, and his arms setting against the door frame. He's kind of like leaning in, looking into the tap room, looking around, getting a measure of the place.
As I notice this, I'm gonna put my hand out and push him back.
Well, excuse me. He just straightens his shirt up a bit.
I think someone's afraid of competition.
His face turns a little red, and he's, well, may the best tavern win then. He turns and stomps off.
I think you might want to let your friends know.
Yeah, well, his tavern doesn't have ghosts.
No, there's many other ways to ruin a business aside from.
That is true. I'm gonna go look for Lacuna and whatnot and let her know about weirdo dude. Not Edward, but other weirdo dude. Oh, look, it's Sin.
It wasn't me.
He's here.
He's alive.
It wasn't me.
But he did it in the corner. Um, Makai, you find Lacuna still in the pantry. It appears she is just finishing up a meal of sorts. Little mechanical cookie cat sitting on the floor with the blue dotted white kitten curled up next to it, purring away happily.
Kitties. I'll tell Lacuna about weirdo dude that probably is gonna try and fuck with us.
What are you telling her?
Some dude looked kind of sketchy. Came knocking here, acting like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting people to be here. Then why the fuck are you knocking on my?" So, yeah, sketchy.
I could poison him if you want.
He's gone. Edward scared him up.
Is it gonna be back?
Probably.
Probably not him. Probably somebody else.
Just thought I'd let people know.
Dun, 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 dun.
Also, you wouldn't happen to have something small to eat, would you? I've been walking around in circles all day.
I'll
as you
hand him a good berry.
as
I
you
look nervously at him and then at a cat.
as you ask this question and Makai is handing you a good berry, you hear you smell a savory scent wafting out of the kitchen.
I'll take the berry.
Alrighty, take
I'm
the
gonna
berry.
go poke my nose and see what Zerio's cooking.
You step into the kitchen. There, upon the stovetop, sits 3 pans. Him and this dark elven woman are in the midst of cooking something. She has a pan of what looks to be some kind of vegetables, and she's just tossing them and stirring them with a spatula. And he has meat of some sort sitting on a grill top, and he's seasoning it, just flipping it over. He turns to you, hope you're hungry. Almost done. He flips it some more.
Well, it sure smells good.
I hope it's good. The damn butcher charged me a fucking arm and a leg.
I'm gonna go over to the stage over here and take out the box, and I'm gonna start using my thieves tool to fuck. I want to know what's inside this thing.
Alright, go ahead and attempt to make a lockpick check.
What status lockpick?
That's going to be, are you proficient with these tools? You are.
I am.
Alright, so it's your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency modifier. You gonna jump in and join us here, Sin?
Uh, yeah, if anything would load.
Oh no.
I've been sitting here staring at a black screen on Roll20 for like 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, I see you just popping in. As you go to put your thieves tool in there, there's a and your tool breaks.
I take out another one. Do I roll again?
Yeah, go ahead and roll again if you're gonna try again. Alright, so same thing, you go, you put the tool in there, you try and fiddle with the lock, and this time you feel a little tension beginning to pull on your tool, and you yank it out real quick, and there's a snap! And then you hear as whatever was in there falls back into place.
I sigh. I take out one more demo tool. I'm gonna try one more time.
Alright. Your tool breaks.
Jesus. Yep, this box is going back into my pack.
With that, I need you to make another wisdom save. Easy enough. You resist the temptation and pull of the various patterns on the box.
I mutter to myself, I don't know what is in there, but I will find out. I will not be deterred.
Micaiah, have you just been standing in the kitchen?
Yeah, watching them cook,
Alright.
smelling all the good smells.
So the two of them finish whatever they're preparing, and they turn to a little island here, a floating island that's set on wheels, and they begin setting plates out. So they put plate out for, you presume, they go and they pause for a moment, he's counting over the heads of the house. He points to the woman sitting next to him. Makai, Lacuna, Edward. I think he's still here as he looks up toward the ceiling. you presume toward whoever else is like Sinestro likely. And he puts 6 plates out on the table, and he begins sending portions out. There is what looks to be some sort of steak, some carrots, peppers, green bell peppers, and the like, tomatoes, onions. Just sets it up and divides it off on the plate. A little bit of mushrooms on the side, and baked potato set on the side of each plate on a smaller plate. He goes, So Lacuna's still over there at the pantry.
Yes, she is. Like the cats.
And he probably can't wheel this thing. Why don't you grab a couple of those? And he picks up 2 plates.
Okay. I'll pick up 2.
And the other woman picks up 2. And he takes the lead and carries them out to the large table out here in the room and just begins setting placemats for people. Lacuna, passing by are some very savory, delicious looking steaks set on a nice array of vegetables on the plates as they walk by you and into the central tap room.
What time is it now?
It's closer to 5 at this point. It's getting closer to dinner time.
There's always room for seconds, Lacuna.
The smell
I
of
don't
it
know why.
makes
I
your
feel
belly
really
grumble.
uneasy about this really quick.
The smell of it makes your belly grumble as you think, maybe I could a little more.
Can I roll like an insight check?
Yeah, you can do an insight check.
What is my insight? +5. 18.
18. So far as you can tell, this is a delicious meal prepared by your companions.
Okay. I will have some.
Sinestra, are you in here yet?
Yeah, I'm good.
All
I'm
right.
here.
So it is about this time, roughly 5 o'clock in the evening or so, when you feel the familiar, now comforting tug of the plane of air returning to your being as you are no longer grounded to this terrestrial plane as all these poor saps around you
Oh, finally.
are.
I'm hungry.
So it's about 5:30 in the evening here. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go walk out of my onto my new balcony. Well, I guess not so much walk. I'm just gonna float out there,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna, I'm just happy. I'm back in action. I'm gonna fly a little bit
Okay.
before heading downstairs, and I'm not. I'm going for it.
So you're just flying straight up in the sky?
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. So you exit your little balcony here, look up to the sky, you feel the familiar winds surging around you, and you jet up into the sky and you go flying up as high as you can, and as you fly up you hear, "What's watching, you dumbass?" As you nearly collide headfirst into one of the Griffin Riders flying over the city of Waterdeep.
Well, that's a good problem to have. I guess I guess I got taken over a little bit there, but I'll go ahead and go back down. I'm hungry. I'm going for some food.
Alright, your token's currently in your bedroom on the map here.
What? I'm just seeing the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're at right now. I'm just saying you can move your token where you
I'm
want to
not. Yeah, I'm just gonna fly back down, and I'm gonna fly right in.
go. All right. Well, as you fly in, Lacuna, have you joined the rest of them at the table?
Yes.
All right. I'm just gonna move your token. Your adventuring companions are all sitting at a table in the corner of the tap room, enjoying a hearty meal of steak, potatoes, and other various veggies. There is a plate sitting there, steaming and getting cold, and an empty seat.
Uh,
I sit down and dig in.
I'm gonna go for the meat.
Okay.
uh, but I'm gonna look at Zirio and be like, "This safe?"
He nods and finishes chewing his fingers. Oh, cook it myself. Starts carving more and eats more.
Oh yeah, I'm digging in.
The woman sitting next to him seems to be enjoying the meal just as much.
This is. Have I seen this person before?
Yeah, she helped you do the enchantments in the
Yeah,
basement. You know her
that's
name
what I
is.
thought.
She was referred to you around as Xenophine and Zenny were the two names you heard for her.
Yeah, and
There is
uh,
a unfamiliar
I'm gonna be like,
human-looking figure sitting at the table.
so new faces.
Oh yeah, Sin. This is Edward. Edwardson.
Edward.
Yeah. Go back.
Friend of I'm a friend of Sandor's.
I
Oh,
look at him with a mouthful of food and say, "Where is Sandor?"
I was just about to ask that.
Not in the city. At least not anymore.
It's pretty suspicious. He disappears and you show up.
I kind of laugh a little bit and I go, he had his reason, however stupid they are.
Okay, but what are your reasons?
Well, I hope to see if I could catch him before he left. See if he had changed since we last spoke. But the other reason why I'm in Waterdeep is because I had a child to escort here. So,
Really? Where'd she go?
I dropped her off at Falcomere Manor, I believe they called it.
Uh, isn't that that your thing, Makai?
Oh yeah, the isn't that the druid?
Yeah, that's the local Druid Grove in the city here.
Been there. Nice place.
A
Yeah,
bit
it's been
too
a while.
big for me.
It's been a while since I've stepped into the Enclave area.
Okay. Well, enough talk for me. I'm eating.
You enjoy your meal. This delicious, juicy steak.
Keeping an eye on Edward.
I cut off a third of the steak and put it to the side to give it to the cat later.
Oh, did anybody want drinks? Cause Liff is here.
As you say that, Liff appears next to you. He is now wearing the garb that looks like kind of like a gourmet waiter. It's the half vest with the coattails coming behind it. And he has a what appears to be a tablecloth or something wrapped over his arm. And yes, hello, can I? And then stops and goes back to the normal form and hackles with it.
Liff, I'll take wine. If if there is any somewhere in this house.
Water.
You
Flick-
can't enjoy steak without a little bit of wine.
Edward says he can't handle his booze.
I'm worse than Sandor, if that tells you anything.
No booze for you ever.
There you go.
Liff flicks his wrist and a little notebook tablet appears in his hand. He licks his fingers and he starts writing down on it. Water, wine, and what did you want? And he turns to you, Sinestra.
Wine.
Wine. Looks over the table at Dark Elven Woman. She chews her bite and puts her hand up. I brought my own and reaches into a belt pouch that looks to be about the size of a coin purse, and from inside of it pulls out a bottle of wine. It's the bottle itself is almost violet color and has a very rich reddish liquid she pours out of it into a cup on the table in front of her, and she just kind of leans over and fills Zero's cup with it and sits the bottle down between the two of them. Lift shrugs and looks at the Lacuna and says, "And you, miss?"
Hmm?
What would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll just take some cold water and a dish of cream for Uzums, please.
Okay. And he takes a moment and he's looking at his order, and rather than going into the tap room, he walks through the wall here as if going outside. About as you guys are just enjoying your meal, you're having a conversation, you're just eating quietly.
Hmm?
Are you talking among each other as you're eating, or are you eating quietly?
Oh, I'll talk amongst people.
I'm staring off into the distance.
As you
I
stare.
will talk.
Okay, well, Lacuna, as you stare off into the distance, there's a little foof, and Uzums is sitting on the table, inches from your plate, licking its lips and looking down at your plate.
I start shredding the third of my meat that I'd cut off and putting on the table for him to eat.
The cat greedily runs over to the meat. As it goes, Zero catches it by the scruff and goes, "Not on the table," and sits her down on the floor. The cat kind of growls and looks at him as if annoyed by his mere presence, and then looks back at you with these big puppy dog kitten eyes.
Do the chairs have arms on them?
Yes, they do.
Is it wide enough for Uzums to sit on comfortably?
Not really. They're maybe an inch and a half or so wide. They're not very wide.
Oh, well, in that case, I pat my lap for Uzums to come sit on it, because it's not technically on the table.
The cat jumps up and sits in your lap.
I go back to eating my dinner while occasionally feeding Uzums,
Okay.
and completely ignoring any dirty looks that Serio may be sending my way.
There are a couple. The dark elven woman is just chuckling softly to herself, amused by the whole thing. As he
I'm just
attempts,
staring at the cat, looking kind of horrified due to my past ordeal.
the cat has this intellectual look in its eye, as if it knows what you're thinking and that you're looking at it, and stares at you. And if a cat could smirk before returning to its meal,
Cats smirk all the time.
the cat smirk.
Right?
Um, it's at this time that Lift returns. This time, walking through the wall behind the stage. Um, he's carrying various bottles. He's got two bottles and a bunch of cups. Two bottles in one hand, cups in the other hand. He comes over the table, arranges the cups, takes one of the bottles, pours two of them, and scoots them over to Sinestra and Makai, and walks through you, Makai. You feel a very awkward chill run down your spine before he's standing between you and Edward, and he pours two cups of water and scoots them to Lacuna, Edward. And then
Thank
he
you, sir.
walks through the table and goes back to the bar.
Man, that ghost is. Ooh.
Yep. Yep. Ghost barkeep. Pretty sweet.
I pet Usums while I eat.
While you are eating, Zero turns and looks around and goes, "We presume that Sandor is not coming back then."
He's probably on his way to Thornhold by now. Or already there.
Well, he swallows his bite. Well, Sinestro and I had a plan to make this place just a little bit safer, involving my friend here. He's Xenophine. This is, and he introduces to each of you guys around the table. With her assistance, we were able to put a protective spell on the meeting room in the basement that allows us to forcibly extricate anyone or contain them in the room should we have a need to escape or seek shelter. Additionally, we would like to put the same enchantment on the second floor and above in this house, with an added level of everyone here present in the enchantment has the ability to control who can and cannot enter the premises. For this, everyone must be present for the spell to be completed.
Yeah. So Edward over there might need to maybe go see the sights for a bit.
What's that mean? I'm completely lost.
It means you don't own this place, so you probably shouldn't be one of the people who can just walk in.
Fair point.
Pointedly, Sinestra, you did have a will that Sandor gave you,
I know.
though he never told you what was on it, so
Nope.
there's that. But anyway, any other conversation over dinner here?
Mr. Usums is so cute.
I want to know where Zerio got Mr. Esms, because Mr. Esms is cute.
This is Miss Usums.
Oh, excuse me.
Miss Usums came from a exotic pet merchant in the city of Luskin, up north. He was not so willing to part with her. He gives you a mischievous grin.
It was what? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
The Usums comes from a merchant in the city of Luskin who unwillingly parted with her.
That's okay. I'm willingly taking her.
Yeah, she can only unwillingly part with an owner once every 500 years.
Oh, wow.
Well, then I'll just take her on indefinite loan now, won't I?
Have to bribe her with more steak.
I'm gonna look at Zerio and say, well, do you want to just tell them?
He shrugs, looks to the woman sitting next to him, and she just shrugs the same. He's, go for it.
I am just gonna go ahead and tell them about um, the little treasure that we're, or the little, I guess it's the vault that we are gonna have to look for.
All right. So Sinestro explains to all of you that as part of the agreement and getting the assistance of the um, ebon-skinned lady, Xenophine here, involved a bargain of looking for a supposed treasure trove hidden somewhere in the city, pointedly the staff of Aragon. Whoever his investor is has a keen interest in this item. Makai, you are aware that the staff of Aragon is also known as the Dragon Staff. It is what maintains and controls the mantle around the city of Waterdeep. This
Oh, damn.
this mantle prevents the entry or approach of any dragon within 1,000 feet of the city itself.
Why are
Yeah,
you
Unless
so
guys
it's some
looking?
heavy shit.
Yeah, why are you guys looking for the staff?
And we just are.
Okay.
I mean, I feel
We
like
never
it's
said we
fairly
had to do
self-evident.
anything with it.
I'm rolling insight.
I mean, I pretty much told you everything.
And who was asking for the staff? Zinni was?
Hmm. Well,
their investor, as what um,
I,
Sinestro has declared him as, a business partner, if you will.
I suppose
Investor.
I suppose the investors are our partners. Ask is kind of Zenny's too.
Well, what's sketchier? Looking for the dragon staff or the random dude who is knocking on a door not expecting people to be.
Who's knocking on the door?
Oh, some dude. I forgot the name of his tap room, but
It's
he was
somewhere in
Oh,
the ward.
don't worry about him.
His tap room was Friends Brews. It is a competing pub in the same little cul-de-sac of this alley. It's just across the street.
He's just trying to see if we are gonna take all his business.
yeah. He doesn't have a ghost butler or ghost barkeep.
Yeah, he'll never be as cool as we are.
Edward, from what you can tell, this conversation is purely candid. Everyone's honest so far in what they've said.
Okay.
Sirius, there's a series of ships down there on the docks. The Heartbreaker, the Eye Catcher. Oh, what was the name of the other ship?
Man, Sirio's freaking talkative now.
Yeah. Let me find the name of the ships.
The Heartbreaker, the Hellraiser,
Hellraiser and the Eye Catcher. There you go.
and the Eye Catcher.
Aboard one of them was a Captain Zord. Sinestra here, emotions for Sinestra. His search to find someone to assist in our enchantments he wished to place upon the building here led us to Captain Zord and our friend here, and he motions to Xenophine. In exchange for her assistance in providing the wards that we wish to place upon the manor here, we have agreed to a mutual partnership and to search for this stuff, as it was part of a condition he insisted upon. Though his investments helped pay for everything, as he looks around the tap room.
Yeah, that was a really big investment.
Do they know what the staff is and what it does?
Absolutely no fucking
No,
clue.
they don't know anything about it. You are the only one at this table that knows what it is.
So this staff that the investor wants is the dragon staff, which basically prevents dragons from entering water. So if some random dude is wanting this staff, that's sketchy as fuck. But whatever. They
Hmm.
gave us enchantments. So
Uh, I will just say, well, he never asked us to actually give it to him. We're just looking for it.
Just ask for the location. Zero agrees.
fair enough.
I guess everyone's looking for it. There's apparently a really big reward.
He mentioned something about a war between the Zenithar and Zentarum, searching for a vault under the city here.
And I guess we're supposed to find it before they do.
Sure.
Yep.
Big sigh.
Well, you have a time on your side because they apparently haven't found it yet.
But it's true.
Yeah, but they have a head start.
And wait, Edward, what were you looking for? A stone of some sort?
No. While I was walking through the alley with a lot of cats, something was whispering to me that a stone was taken by one of short stature. Or stature, I suppose.
Whispered to you?
It's been a long day.
Are you hearing voices?
The voices of cats?
Who let this guy in here?
I point to my guy.
I'm just gonna look at her like, what the hell are you thinking?
I'm just gonna continue to drink my wine.
It's like, okay, so you heard a voice and it told you to look for a stone.
No, it just told me that a stone was taken. Didn't say anything about to look for it. It also said don't trust cats. Apparently, the butcher's wife loves somebody, but that person loves the butcher. And no one apparently was friends with the tanner. And
What
something about stalks and shadows.
what is that? Like, are you okay?
Well, I kind of reach over to my left shoulder. I did take them 2 crossbow bolts to the shoulder when I was going through there, so
I mean,
Jesus. I
he is
didn't know
threatening.
cats could operate crossbows.
I pet Miss Uzzums. You'd be surprised what cats can do.
Oh, that is no cat.
There's a very content purring coming from Uzums as it sprawls out and stretches out in your lap, Lacuna.
I'm just saying I will never give Miss Uzzums a reason to shoot me with a crossbow. Apparently the same cannot be said about our guest.
I'm just gonna look at Edward and it's like, look, I don't know what you did, but watch out for that one. That's not actually a cat.
I noticed.
There's a small chuckle and giggle coming from the dark elven woman. She goes, I suppose one who makes contracts with Fays would know these things.
I'm just gonna look at her like, I better. One mistake is enough for me. Because I have already been like basically taken out by that by that cat.
The cat done took you out, eh?
Well, about as close as like an animal of that size can. But I'm gonna look at her and and say, and what was that other thing you wanted us to help with?
She smiles and says, mm, call that a personal matter between myself and Zero here. Should you feel the itch of a travel bug, we can look in that further. Though I feel you might be more interested and invested in what's in front of you now, or perhaps an issue with a few cults in the north.
Man, you guys have really been talking too much. And I look at Ziria. You've changed.
Sandor mentioned a cult you guys killed off in the north.
She smiles at you, Sinestra, and says, the masked lady whispers as she dances in the night.
That I'm gonna have to try to figure out what that even means.
Well, do you have, let's see, what do you got? You can attempt either an arcane or a religion check to see if you understand what the hell she's trying to say there.
All right then. Let's try it. They're both the same, so
All right. Um, she's basically alluding that Elestre has been informing her as to what has been going on with your group.
what the hell, Illustrate?
Are you saying that out loud?
No,
I look up and I
I'm not
say,
stupid.
wait, who's Illustre again?
Oh, I didn't say that out loud. That was like full on in my head. You can ask who the masked lady is if you want.
Okay, so who's the masked lady?
Uh, she turns to you and beams a smile in your direction as if eager to inform you as to what this all means. And she's, the masked lady, the dark dancer, the dancing goddess, lady of silver hair, Elestre. She favors those of us who don't quite agree with our more wicked cousins.
Oh,
If you want, now that you have heard the name, you can make a religion check to attempt to discern who that is.
yeah, I will do the religion check. If the page is being, like, every time I click back to it, it reloads.
You have a +5 to your religion.
I'm still just like, what the hell? But it's a good thing.
22.
You know that Illustre she is a drow goddess, one of the very few that are considered to be accepted on the surface world and a member of the goodly pantheon. Um, she is the daughter of Arashni, who is now known as Loth, and Corlon Lathander, the lord of the Sindari, basically the king of the elven pantheon. Um, she's a goddess of song, dance, swordsmith, swordwork, moonlight, goodness, and beauty. She typically accepts and takes in um, dark elves that reject the wicked ways of Lolth and seek to rejoin their surface of cousins, along with others who basically accept and worship the same values. Uh, One of her creeds is often known as, it's often spoke of similar to don't do violence unless violence is done against you, and if it is, react swiftly and precisely.
I nod and say, I think I know who you're talking about, and as far as gods and goddesses go, she sounds like one worth following. I kind of have lacuna. She's not particularly religious at this point.
Mhm. She smiles at you and says, "The dark lily smiles on those who see deeper beauty within."
I smile and go back to petting Miss Usums, not really knowing how to respond.
It does actually make me want to trust this person a little bit more.
I mean, you're
Like
free to. Go ahead.
uh, I was super kind of on the fence. Like she seemed like a decent person, but she's also mixed up with all those other people who are doing some shady shit.
Um,
So
in regards to that, the way she has lingered around this house in the past 4 days or so since you had made your agreement with Captain Zord and his companions, um, you get a sense that she doesn't really have very strong ties to them. It's maybe more of something of convenience for her.
got it.
At that, Makai, you are also aware that Elistre is the only goddess of the Dark Elven pantheon that is accepted in the city of Waterdeep.
Okay.
She's also one of the few goddesses that is outside of the Sindari, which is the Elven and Druidic pantheon, that is accepting and welcoming the same way the rest of the Druid community is. She's very tolerant.
Yeah, she doesn't seem so sketchy.
You guys are free to ask anything you want to ask of
How long have you been following her?
them. She pauses and ponders for a minute. Well, and she kind of like playfully taps Zero on the shoulder. This one's been lecturing me about the teachings of Illustre for probably the better part of 2 centuries. Though my faith didn't really develop until well, she saved me.
Alright, so like at this point I'm on full on like wide-eyed kitty mode because I don't really know many religious people. How'd she do that?
I'm
Uh,
just laughing. Just
she's she gets a little hesitant and looks towards Zero, and he just kind of nods, and she's lets out a big heavy sigh. She says, "Well, it's a bit of a story. If you're all in for a tale or two."
oh, we all love stories.
As
Serious
long
story.
as
Serious
long
story.
as you're comfortable with it.
She reaches out and grabs the bottle of wine that she produced from her pouch, refills her cup, and refills Zero's, and puts the bottle back down. Takes a fairly large swig of the cup before setting it back down, and is now about half full. We were part of a satellite expedition sent from the city of Samath. It's a dark elven civilization. Um, it's set under the mountains, a little to the southwest of here. One of the few ones, if not the only one, that is run by a patriarchy. Loth has no control in the city. And the other civilizations, the other drow communities, look down upon us, though we're one of the few that are welcoming to outsiders and accept those with a little more. And he turns and looks pointedly to Sinestra. Arcane tutelage. Um, we had made an agreement with House Bear of Menzaberzen to set up a trade route between the two cities. The idea of expanding House Benair's magical wares, making them more formidable against the other houses that covet for the position of first. In exchange, they were allowing us to take over one of the abandoned compounds of a house that was lost in the house wars. So, myself, my younger sister, Alari, Zirio here, and a contingent from our house of Samath ventured forth to Menzaberzen. We established a compound, and things seemed well enough. We had agreed to put on a facade of a cleric in place. The head of the household act as a matron, um, appearing to be worshippers of Loth, though it was understood, and from what we were told, accepted by Loth herself, that our bit of chaos thrown into the mix was to be allowed. So, with Bear's blessing, we established a household in Menzaberzen along the southern edge of the Crawl Rift. House Baron Marcial saw us as a threat, thought we were attempting to take their place, and saw it fit to ambush and assault us. It was at that time that I fell. I was killed by an assassin. And she stands up and pulls down her shirt just a bit, and smack dab in the center of her chest, where the heart would be, there is a about grape-sized oval scar that is still healing over, that looks to be about the size of where a blade would just cleanly fit through the chest. When she gets talking on this, Zirio gets tense. He clenches his fists and his knuckles turn white, and there's just rage over his face, but he remains quiet as she finishes the story. As they left, Loth came to collect her bounty, to collect her souls. Alestra interceded. She took me, and in exchange for my promise to help those of her flock, and she turns and looks toward Zirio, I was returned, brought back. And here I stand.
So you're literally a zombie.
She chuckles and laughs. Not quite.
I mean, that's pretty damn close.
It's pretty badass.
That's so cool.
Makai, her story resonates with you in the sense that you've heard something like this before. The same thing, or a similar tale, is told by Jareth, who is the matriarch patron of Falkenmore Manor. She is also a chosen of a god, Maliki, the goddess of the wild hunt.
Ah,
So it's upon hearing the story, it's kind of clicks in your head that this woman is probably a little closer to godhood than the rest of the people in this tavern.
okay.
Yes.
Yep, pretty badass.
She smiles at you, Lacuna, and says, "Anything else?"
I just sort of look at her with like eyes as big as center plates. No.
She shrugs and turns to Sinestra and says, "As for our mutual business partners, I was fortunate enough that they found me before the rest of the city did."
after hearing her story, it makes me less sketched out about finding this staff, but still a little wary.
Are you voicing this, or is just an internal monologue?
No, I'll definitely say to her like I'm less sketched out now than previously.
She pauses for a moment, as if in contemplations. "Mm, I'm not sure I'd want it in his hands either, though. He doesn't strike me as the all malicious type. I feel it may be more of a bargaining chip to him than anything else. Leverage.
Yeah, just the idea of the staff engine. It's not something that I wouldn't want people messing with.
Yeah, you're assuming that somebody's not already messing with it.
Well, I don't see dragons flying around Waterdeep right now. So,
Yet.
yet.
From what you know of the staff, Makai, the wielder of the staff has to be whoever is holding the staff attuned to it, if you will, as per the magic items in this wonderful world, um, has to be willing, and the dragon that wants to gain entry into the city has to physically touch the staff and be granted access to enter the city.
So we will know. I, in my head, am thinking that if we do find the staff, probably going to give it to her, and then to say,
Yeah.
"Well, thought that you guys were together."
Yeah. Well, you're saying that in your head, but yeah, I agree with that.
With that, you folks have finished your delicious meal for the evening. Are there any more conversations you would like to have at the table here?
That's about it.
I turn to Miss Lacuna and I say, you are something of an artificer, yes?
I stop to glare at Zero. Yeah, something.
I have two things actually. I pull out my scimitar and I say, I'm not quite certain what this is outside of it being a scimitar. And then I pull out the 3 locked box. And this thing has been giving me a headache ever since I've gotten it.
As you
Okay.
pull that box off from um, Xenophine over here, she mutters something in a language you don't understand upon seeing the box.
I put the box where everyone can see because I'm fairly certain that somebody knows what this is. I found this when I was rescuing the girl. It was in a well, the captain's quarters before he met an untimely demise.
Any
Lacuna,
elvish? Or go ahead.
are you going to identify the sword for him, Lacuna?
Yeah, of course. Do I have a specific spell for that?
You have the spell Identify.
Alright, I will cast Identify.
Alright, so you take the sword and place it on the table in front of you, gently resting your hands upon it, and you go through the incantations necessary to complete the spell. As you do, there's a faint glow that comes from the weapon, and you feel the tug of familiar magics of abjuration, alteration, transmutation filtering through your mind, and as you complete it, the item identifies itself to you, and you find yourself um, suddenly aware as to everything of that this weapon has to offer. If this damn page will load, I'll give you all the details. This scimitar is known as Razor's Deep. It is a finely crafted scimitar decorated with engravings of coral. It appears to be sharks swimming between reef set along the spine of the blade. Attacks with this weapon ignore 1 point of your target's armor class, and it has a +1 bonus to attack and damage. It's considered a magical weapon.
I relay all that to him.
And I am adding to your inventory, Edward, the Razor's Deep Blade.
I take the blade, I am gonna put it back to where it was, and I go, well, that explains why it hurt so much.
I guess I'm doing the same for the box.
The box sitting in the center of the table appears to be made, it's about 3 foot long, 8 inches or so wide, and has a depth of roughly 4, maybe 5 inches or so. It is made of a dark hardwood, and the wood itself is interlaced with what appears to be a silvery metallic substance, kind of woven between it. The closer you examine and look at the box, it feels as if it's moving. Makai, to you, it looks organic, almost natural, living maybe in the design.
Huh. Can I roll a nature check against it?
Yeah, this box is made from the heartwood of an iron bark tree. It is a tree common in the Feywild and on extremely rare occasions finds itself upon the material plane. It is known as a living tree, more so than any other tree, in the sense that it lives and breathes magic. You're aware that items made from this, um, be it weapon or armor, tend to have a hardiness similar to, if not better than, steel, and are resistant to effects such as acid or attacks that are made against it with non-magical means.
Well, Edward, you can use your box as a club if you can open it.
I'm not Sandor, don't insult me.
It's made. Wait, it was ironwood.
It's the heartwood of an iron bark tree.
Ah, it's made of heartwood of an iron bark tree, and it's fey in nature.
And Sandor wouldn't use that as a club. He would just use it as kindling.
You know, I was wondering if you guys had completely refurbished this place or if Sandor had burned it down.
Yeah. I think he was pretty close.
Yeah, he was pretty close.
Especially when those hobgoblins broke in.
I just sigh.
As you guys are discussing the hobgoblin, Xenophine has pulled the box closer to her and she's staring at it with an almost reverence, carefully going over, lightly brushing her fingers along the edges of the box, and closely inspecting each of the blocks.
I look over at Xenophine. Are you okay? Is something going on?
Mm, she mutters to herself and damn sneezing fit. She mutters to herself faintly and says, "By the Dark Maiden, I think you may have stumbled upon something quite valuable, Edward."
I look at the box and I look at her and I go, in my experience, when I stumble on something like that, it usually ends with me being stabbed.
She chuckles softly. Um,
I'll say, "Well, do you want to get it over with?" And I pull out my wrists.
You know, Sandor didn't say you were a complete idiot either. Although seriously, on your wrists.
Yeah,
I just shake my head and go back into my chair and just stare at the ceiling.
I'll show him. It's like a you ever give someone like the bear paw, and then just like they're expecting you to slap them, and then their nose is gone, and they're like, ah, my nose.
You've been punched by Sandor, haven't you?
I don't know if I have. I did punch Sandor once.
Weren't you the one that Sandor punched in the balls when you got possessed by a ghost?
Yes, I forgot about that. It had been repressed in my memory.
Funny.
I'm not mentioning it here.
Lacuna has completely tuned out the conversation when Xenophin started talking and has gone back to placidly patting Miss Uzum.
She's playing with the kitty cat. Um,
Can Makai technically turn into whatever Miss Uzums is now with wild shape?
let me see
You'd have to
here.
have face shape.
Yeah, that is true.
No, you cannot turn into something of that high of a challenge rating.
Boo.
Um, with that, Xenophine is looking over the box and uh, she looks at each and one of you and turns to you, Edward, and says, motions in the box, says, "May I?"
By all means.
She
Do
stands.
all of you know how to open any lock?
She stands up, takes a step back, and as she does, she reaches down to her belt pouch, and when she reaches into it, she pulls out a fine rapier. Sinestro, to you, this thing hums with energy.
Oh shit.
She steps forward and slowly pulls the sheath off. As she does, the weapon glows with a faint silvery light, and she reaches over and just gently places it down on the box, the lid of the box. That vine, that metallic weave that was in the box, begins to twist, and jerk, and spasm, and spiral. And then there's a rapid explosion of movement around the box. It looks as though this intricate design that you thought someone had artistically placed in the box is attempting to escape the confines of the material it's in, as it moves rapidly and races around the box before finally settling and all of it coalescing in the lid. And it spins about rapidly in three little spirals before, out of the top of the box, just pop, 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 pop. Three little silver keys go pink, 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 and settle on the surface of the lid of the box. She takes the sheath for her rapier, stows the weapon again, and carefully slides it back in to what you presume now to be a bag of holding at her hip.
What in the actual fuck? You
Dinner gonna
just touched a box with a glowing weapon and it made keys out of itself. What the actual fuck? I think I may have drank too much.
Maybe you haven't drunk enough.
One of the other.
Edward must be having the weirdest day ever. Between Ghost Barkeep, talking cats, and then this.
Is this like out loud or
No, it's metagaming. It's just
ah?
It's in her head.
yeah.
Are any of you doing something while she's going through these gestures?
Yeah, I am looking at that weapon like, damn.
I'm
Yes.
playing with Miss Uzum's paws.
Are you asking anything about that weapon, or are you just staring at it?
Oh, I'm gonna try to figure out what that thing is, but I don't know if I'm asking anything right now.
Well, if you
Just
want to,
watching because I am thoroughly invested in what the box is going.
what's that for, Sinestro?
That's arcane.
Um, the weapon radiates the same divine glow that you get from Xenophine, and that you got from that druid back in Folkmere Manor.
Okay. So I'm just I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna basically I'm assuming that it was a gift from her goddess, and I don't need to know any more about it because holy, that's freaking cool. Okay.
All right. So, um, she goes through the gestures, puts the weapon away, and there are now 3 silver keys, not quite sitting on the surface of this box. It is now purely made of the heartwood of an ironbark tree. There's no trace of metal left on the surface of the box.
I'm gonna. I'll just be like, can I touch one of those?
She shrugs. You could try.
I'm gonna reach to take the one in the middle.
You reach out and go to grab the key, and there is a. You hear the faint chime and jingle of bells that sounds faintly familiar to laughter echoing in your mind, Sinestro, as you reach for it.
I'm gonna pause and go, huh, and then try to go ahead uh, and just lightly pick one up.
So you're reaching for the middle one.
Just yep.
You reach out and you tap the key first gingerly and then pick it up.
Now, what is this key made of?
Let's see. Using your knowledge of glass blowing and the materials you've used in the past few days with it, this key is made of primarily mithril, but there is another element of it that you can't quite pin down. It's almost translucent in appearance.
So mithril and something else. And I'm just gonna keep studying this key. You guys do whatever you want.
Roll investigation.
Ah, yes, investigation. The wonderful world of that.
As you are looking over the key, the light of the tap room here, you catch a faint glimpse of something engraved along the edge of the key.
Oh, now I need to know what that is. Do I understand what it is?
It's not in a language that you understand.
I'm going to reach out for the key on, well, the key closer to me.
All right, so it'll be a key on the. I'll just say the key closest to the wall here. There is now one that's over toward the front of the building, and one that's closer toward Lacuna. So one that's near Sinestra, and one near Lacuna.
I'll take the one that is near Laguna.
I'll say, careful.
I cautiously pick up the key.
As you reach out and you pick the key up, you feel um an odd urge to dance take over you. Make a will save. Wisdom save, sorry. So use the 3.5 and you stop doing that.
Oh, that was really close to being a 2.
You manage to shrug off the urge to dance, and you hear in the back of your head a alluring, melodic female laughter.
As that's happening, I just blurt out, "Oh, for fuck's sake, can you people stay out of my mind?"
Are you hearing voices again?
Female this time, at least. I go over to the box, I take the key, and I slide it into the hole that it corresponded to when it was laying on the box.
As you put the key in there and you turn it, there's a soft click, and the key, as you turn it, leaves your hand and suffuses itself with the lock, and then there's a click, and the latch swings free.
I'm gonna ask, what are these engravings?
Who you showing the key to?
Xenophine. She knows all about this box. I'm just gonna like she did the thing with the keys, and
So
now I just think she knows everything.
she takes the key and she looks at it, reaches over, and says, "Friends, you." 2 words. Friends, you.
And then
Huh.
I'll pick up the other one and say, what does this one say?
With trusted.
Can we read the third one, or is that gone now?
Um, the lock that the third one was pushed into is swinging open. It's hanging open now on the edge of the box.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the key itself has become suffused with the lock. So at this time, no, you cannot read it.
I say, well, it probably had something to do with dancing.
Open it.
Okay then. I'm gonna put the other 2 keys in the lock, or in their corresponding locks.
You put the key in the middle lock,
Mm-hmm.
and it slides in, and with ease, the same motion as did the key when Edward did it. It slides in, the lock swings free. You put the key in the lock closest to you, and it does not turn.
Huh.
Makai, a little help?
Uh, yeah, I'll give it a try, and I'll take the key and attempt to
So you put the key in there. As you go to turn it, it turns easily in the lock, and click. That key suffuses with the lock, and it comes free of its shackle. There are now 3 little locks hanging in the loops on the edge of the box here. All
I
3
take
open.
the locks off and I cautiously open the box.
You try to open the box, and it does not budge.
Hmm.
Let
Are
me
we
try.
gonna all have to try at the same time?
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Like put a finger on the lid and just like all open it at once.
Alright, so Sinestra, Makai, Edward, you all 3 gather around the box and attempt to open it. It does not budge.
Huh.
Lacuna, try this.
I give him a suspicious look and clutch Miss Usms to my chest. Why?
Just open the box.
Okay. I put Miss Usms in a pocket and look at the box like an idiot because I am and say, what exactly do you want me to do?
Open it.
Just open
Let's
it.
open it.
Okay, I start to fiddle with the box to open it.
You go to lift the lid, and it swings as if on well greased hinges. It just silently opens up.
What the hell?
Weird
Uh,
box. Something to do with friends. So multiple people. That's a weird box.
Asking for help, I guess.
Yeah.
What's in it?
As you open the box, a silvery light pours out of it. I need everyone to make a wisdom save.
Oh great.
Oh, yay. When did wisdom saves? I'm a dead one. We all did.
Sinestra and Edward, You hear a soft, motherly, comforting voice in your head. Swear allegiance. Befriend yourself. Tie yourself to the cause.
What cause?
There is no answer. Your bodies feel heavy, as if encased in lead. You are unable to stand or move. Makai and Lacuna, there is a sound of a sigh, almost as if in relief, passing through your ears. Beyond that, nothing more. You turn to see Sinestra and your new guest, Edward, looking stiff. Their faces are in a state mixture of shock and awe, frozen. They are breathing, and they appear to be comfortable, though there is no movement.
So that's convenient, Lacuna. Should we shut it?
Oh no, this is amusing.
I'm gonna tell the voice in my head that I already follow a cause. I can't commit to another one.
There is a sigh of annoyance that passes through your head, followed by friendship is a cause all can commit to.
I guess that depends. Who are my friends?
Um, your head begins to tilt, turn, move against your volition as you turn and your gaze is locked pointedly with Makai, then Sinestra, Xenophine, Zirio, then Lacuna, and then there's a pause, and you turn and you stare as if looking through the wall in a direction that you know goes toward Thornhold, before returning you back to the position that you were in when the box was initially opened.
Alright, then this is a cause that I can commit to.
And with that, your motion returns to you, and you are released.
Didn't fucking answer me. Lucky guy. I was just
I
like, what is this?
I sit back into my chair and I say, barkeep, something hard, please.
Oh, great.
He appears next to you, smiles, and goes to reach for something, and then sees the bottle between the two dark elven cups, smirks, reaches over and grabs that, and fills your cup with it before setting the bottle back down.
Ooh.
This is a
That's a
mistake.
ballsy fucking. That's a
Sit
ballsy
back.
fucking ghost
Right?
right there.
Right?
Oh.
Thankfully, he's already dead.
I'm gonna sip it.
It's fruity, rich, sweet, goes down smooth, and warms your belly. As it settles in, you feel your muscles relax, and as if all the troubles wash away from your shoulders.
Lucky guy.
The feeling of my mouth kind of feeling that way probably makes me panic, and I start grasping at my mouth because I think I'm changing in front of them.
Okay.
I look at Edgar, or Edward, sorry.
Edgar Allan Poe.
And I kind of like side eye him, like, what? This dude really can't handle his booze.
So, yeah,
You
I'm just
hear
sitting here wondering what the hell I'm even supposed to commit to.
you hear a voice in your head, Sinestra. Repeat. Do your friends trust you? Do you trust them?
I mean, yeah. I don't know if they trust me.
And
They're
with
here.
that,
They're still here though.
your moment hesitation, uh, you hear a laughter echoing in the back of your head. Not just one voice, but two. This time, the duality of it, you hear the giggle and chuckle of Titania echoing.
Oh shit! The fuck? What is Titania doing here?
From what you gather, she is amused at the situation and appears to be of, if not friendly, at least neutral standing with whatever entity has hold over you now.
Great. Well, so no help from her. I'm gonna say who are you?
You see, as you are looking across the room, on the walls, playing in the shadows, they coalesce into a female form that dances very briefly in and out of your vision before the shadows settle back into their familiar forms.
Can I make anything out?
So,
Or
you didn't hear me?
I did. I did. Uh, does that mean anything to me at all?
Um, from what you've gained and the way that she has spoken, you have heard mention from the talk between the two of these at the table here, the Dark Dancer.
Oh. Oh boy. So it's her. Got it. Mm. Yeah, I guess I'm okay with this.
So you accept.
Uh, yeah.
With that, your body relaxes, and you feel a warm embrace of as if some figure offers you a friendly, tender hug from behind. Very briefly, Sinestra.
Ugh. Okay.
And then, as it recedes, there's a whisper in your ear, into Tanya's voice. This'll be fun.
Shit. I'm just gonna audibly be like, shit.
With that, the light fades, and everyone hears, with trusted friends, you are prepared. And the three locks settle themselves on the table as the light fades slowly, and each key settles next to the lock.
Uh, I'm gonna take the middle key again and put it in my pocket. Just say, I guess that is now mine.
Yep. I'll take my key.
All right.
I'll take the key I had.
Okay.
Fuck.
I just kind of mutter to myself, beware the gifts, beware gift. Why didn't I listen?
Uh, I'm just gonna say, did you know what was gonna happen?
Are you asking that of Xenophine?
Yes.
She smiles at you and shakes her head. No, only a fool presumes to know the designs of any higher calling.
Next time, totally warn us before we do something stupid.
She shrugs.
You won't have time to do anything else.
With that, the box lays open before you.
I'm invested at this point. What's in
Yeah,
the
what's
box?
in it?
The box.
Sitting inside the box
It's a
on
dick in a box. Sorry.
The box itself is lined with a midnight blue fabric that looks to be dotted with stars. Resting in the fabric is a scimitar that the blade itself is almost crystalline, transparent, the spine solid silver, riding down to the guard, the hilt, handle, and pummel.
I'm going to take it out.
You go to reach for the weapon, you are unable to lift it.
I motion for everyone else to try.
I'm not even gonna bother trying. Um, I'll wait for everyone to try and everything.
Makai sighs and will attempt to take it out of the box.
You go, and as you go to lift the handle and you reach for it, you hear a deep, rumbling, raspy voice, as patient as the sea. This is not for you.
Okay. I'll listen to you, dude.
You want to give it a try, Lacuna?
I say nothing because I've busied myself with picking up Cookie and Miss Usums and making meowing noises at them.
I guess I'll give it a shot.
Alright, you go to reach for the weapon. As you do, your hand grasps around it, and you feel a sting, a burn, and you quickly let go.
Yeah, I figured.
Titania says, "Do you want a toy?"
Oh, toys are fun.
And you hear a voice in your head say, Perhaps. I'll see what I can find."
Okay, I'm a little bit like I'm so glad I was not on camera or anything right there because I'm just like yes. All right, I'm gonna bring the box to zero and say, "Your turn."
Yeah.
He looks to Xenophine. She looks to him and nods, and produces the rapier again from her hilt again, and holds it up to him. He looks at the weapon, and there's a bit of like shock and awe on his face, um, as if denial.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you about that. as I look at Xenophine.
She smiles and says, "A gift."
Oh yeah, obviously.
Perhaps one waits for you yet somewhere.
I'm just gonna be like, I'm trying to hide it right now. I'm trying to hide it right now. Maybe.
Uh,
As nonchalant as I possibly can do right now.
he reaches down to grab the weapon. As he does, there is the brilliant flash of silvery light that once again fills the room. He grits his teeth, and there is a very visible struggle that passes over himself between the weapon and him. And after a exhausting moment, he manages to wrest the weapon from its case. It appears a little heavy in his grasp, as he has trouble holding the weight of it.
It don't look that heavy. What's wrong with you?
Xenophine leads in and whispers something in his ear. If any of you wants to try and do a perception check, you're welcome
Oh
to do so.
yes. I gotta know. I gotta know.
Sinestra is totally invested in this.
Totally miss. Anybody else?
Give me
What
one
is
Sure.
second.
that? What the macro? What is that? I'm gonna have to make one that just says, "What are those?"
I like it.
Good
I
perception.
have them for all of them. It's hilarious.
All right. Well, let's see.
Tell how much I'm paying attention right now.
Cat-like ears. Something
Cat-like ears.
of that.
Let's see here.
You don't have cat-like ears.
I'm a druid. I mainly turn into cats, if you haven't noticed.
All right.
Well, turn
Edward,
into a cat then.
Mackay, and Lacuna, as your passive perceptions are high enough to reach this. Lacuna. Sinestra, you catch faint gifts, faint little bits of it. From what you catch, Sinestra is it was not your fault. Mackay, Lacuna, and Edward, you hear her comforting him, for lack of better words. Um, she is regaling the story of Menzaberzen and what happened in there. And there is a struggle, a visible struggle in Zirio as he tries to master his emotions. Um, she places a hand on his shoulder and nods and says, "For something more. With trusted friends, you are prepared." And he sighs and nods, and the weapon looks visibly lighter in his hands. And with that, he has the weapon.
Yay.
The rest of you fine folks here, looking around, Zenithine says, so, turns to Sinestra, should we conclude our business?
Yeah, might as well. And I'm gonna look at Ulm and just say, just this once, you might want to make yourself scarce for just a bit.
I nod.
As you begin to walk out, Zenithine says, Edward,
Hmm.
stay.
The fuck does she have to say in this?
Well, she's
I
more
am
passive as
immediately
spell.
I know,
suspicious.
but we paid her. We're. Never mind.
She turns to you all and says, he appears to be working in Sandor's stead, unless you don't want this one's alliance.
Do with owning this.
I'm fine with his alliance.
I'm fine
Seems
with it
like
too.
Sinestra's just paranoid.
Yes, I literally just met this guy like what, an hour ago, and then he he pulls out this box that fucking like. Okay, you know what? You guys be not at all affected by this. What the hell?
If you want one on each room, she turns to you, Sinestra. I need an anchor for each enchantment. Meaning that if you want for each room to have an individual person for control, you need an anchor for each one of the enchantments. Otherwise, you can leave the top attic thing just basically not covered by it.
Yeah, I mean the top attic thing is Sandor's. Like, I know he's gone right now, but he kind of committed to being in there. So like my thought process is that Sandor's probably coming back at some point, and I don't want him to come back and be like, "Sorry, dude, your room's just given to this guy we're not even sure actually knows you."
There you go.
Like, you guys can talk me down on this, but
I mean, you make a
So is this
convincing argument.
conversation happening out right now?
Yes.
yes.
I walk over to Emma, whatever your name is, I can't pronounce. And I pull out the letter that Zirio gave me, and I pull out the letter I found at the before.
Okay, I know Zirio gave you a letter, and what? Okay, now I got it. I'm gonna read them.
Well, the one that Zirio had is in Sandor's penmanship, though I'm not sure you ever saw him write anything. The way it
I.
reads is similar to how he spoke,
Mm-hmm.
and it basically recounts um, sordid history of his family. Uh, some disagreements. It mentions that should he go missing, likely an individual will come looking for him, and it's very vague and ambiguous as to who is actually going to come looking for him. It's purposely lacking details, which is
Mm-hmm.
suspicious to you, but it
Yep.
mentions a figure itself is going to be coming. Um, and it also states that they'll bring proof. Um,
All
some
right.
sort of.
What's in this other letter?
Edward, what's in the other letter?
That was the letter that I found at the pirates area, and it basically was about the party that it was mostly positive. Beware the dark elf, the one who melts with shadows and death. Strange pharaoh, which was an asymmer that can't seem to touch the ground, and it is directed to an individual named Olm.
I'm gonna I'm gonna look at this. Just say you're lying to us.
Which part?
Well, because you're calling yourself Edward.
Well,
If it okay, well then this letter isn't for you. Where did you get this?
this face is Edward. I'm known by many other names.
You would call these masks, by the way.
This mask is Edward. He doesn't actually live anywhere. He just sort of was created when I came down with the girl from the pirate camp. After I discarded the captain's mask.
Got it.
This sounds unnecessarily complicated. Who the hell
Yeah,
are you and what
I'm
is your
just
deal?
My name is Om, and I turn into my I grow a little higher. My hair tama goes much longer. It's pure white. My face is completely featureless, and my eyes are colorless.
Are you a changeling?
what? That's obvious.
You
Lacuna
would
states
know
it
what a
this way.
changeling is, Sinestro. Lacuna's the only one here who would.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's. I mean, look. She just asked if
Yeah,
he was a changeling, and he literally just changed in front of us.
gotcha.
like,
To be fair, it's Dungeons and Dragons. There are a lot of different spells you could use to shapeshift.
that's true.
And Lacuna has a habit of just stating the blatantly obvious.
So, did you ask, or was that a meta thingy?
Me asking was it's sort of rhetorical because it's like you said, it's kind of obvious you are. So at this point, I'm not only confused, and I don't like being confused. It makes me angry.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. with handfuls of kittens and a very annoyed look on my face, saying, "What is going on? What is the deal? I don't have time for this."
Yeah, it
Where,
would take too long to explain.
no, it won't.
Well, that would be going over about a decade worth of masks and killing people and lock.
A decade.
Short story short, I found my way into Sandor's family when my own was taken from me. We had a disagreement. We haven't spoken for in years since we left.
Okay, so we'll do the short version. Why are you looking for Sandor?
Because when he left, he went to join the Centaurum, and I told him he was a fucking idiot.
You're not wrong, but why are you looking for Sandor?
Because he sent me a letter that I happened to stumble on when I was trying to murder an entire bandit slash pirate. And it seemed like he was actually using his brain for once, and I was intrigued, and I wanted to see if he had changed at all.
I'm like progressively getting more not angry, but irritated, and I'm still holding my kittens in my hand. And so I advance on him. The way I'm holding the kittens is I've got both of my hands out, palms up, and I'm holding a cat in each of them.
Double fisting kitten.
Exactly. It's my kitten mittens. Or as the more risque might say it, it's my pussy punchers. And so I approach Olm with about as threatening a face as a
You
short, kind of obnoxious tiefling girl can, while holding two cats, and say, "What is your deal? Why are you actually here? And are you staying? Because we've
I
got shit
told
to,
you my reason for being here.
are you gonna stay? Because we've got shit to do. And if you're not staying, then you're wasting our time."
Damn.
Sickum is
Damn. I opened the can of worms.
Well, from a few
Holy.
seconds ago, it looks like you were just playing with cats, so it doesn't seem like anyone's time is being wasted now, is it?
I have to go study the lightning rails. We all have things that we need to do. This was a temporary layover,
Then
and
why aren't
now
you
we
doing it? I'm leaning into her, just going, you're basically not getting anywhere with me right now. You're
like
wasting time right now. Why aren't
be-
you studying?
because it's after dinner. I can't think straight when I've just eaten, and I don't give a shit what your reasoning is. Are you staying? It's a yes or no question, and if you're not staying, you need to leave.
I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder and say, "You're not gonna win this one. It will go on forever."
It's not
I'll
the point.
stay. For now.
I
Yeah,
hold up Miss Asums. Why do we try? Why do we bother?
You telepathically hear in your head because it's fun.
Who's telepathically putting it in my head?
It's coming from the little kitten in your hand.
Okay, I'm cool with that. As long as it wasn't Ulm. I have decided that I don't trust Ulm at all.
yeah, I'm a little bit. I look. I think that I'm fine with him staying, but I don't think that we should be binding a room to him right now. We may in the future, but yeah, like
I have a question for Xenophon. Does it have to be to a person? Can it just be any sort of object or person or thing or something like that?
The enchantment Sinestro requested, the nature of it requires a person. I can, as I did in the basement, ward the attic against all persons, if that is what you wish.
I'm gonna ask her
I'm
why.
gonna change back into Edward and just say, I think I'm going to step out. You all finish whatever you're doing. Good day.
Okay.
I've gotta ask Seraphine, like, why did you do that? We just met that person. What was the thought process there?
She points at the box.
The box.
The friendship box.
Yeah, what is that? I mean, I get that, but that like doesn't really mean
An
a whole
enchantment
lot right now.
of that nature cannot be undone unless it's done by a group of companions that mean no each other no ill will.
Okay, so we know he's not gonna kill us. Like, so we. I don't know. I'm trying to process that, right? Like, it's like, yeah, I don't mean anyone any ill will. So that could have worked with a lot of people.
She ponders for a moment and then shakes her head, smiles, and says, "Hmm, perhaps you need to spend more time studying. Maybe talk with Titania some more."
Christ. I'll go get
Regardless,
him.
regardless, if this is how you wish this to be done, it shall be done. Should in the future the need for another arise, you know where to find me.
I'll sigh and go, I'll go get him.
I'm just gonna sit on the stairs and play with my loot.
I'm gonna open the door and say, hey, Eduardo,
What do you want?
get in here.
Fine.
I hate to be the voice of dissent, but we're already an hour over.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, why don't we'll
it's
end it
Sinestra's fault.
on this little fun note of conflict that I am enjoying so much, mind you. Um, and we'll pick this up. This is going to be, yeah, we'll pick it up next Saturday.
Can we assume that when we get back, like the enchantments are done, or do we need to do something there?
No, you can assume they're done if you want to do it that way. Yeah,
Okay.
if the rest of you are fine with that, unless you'd like to continue this little dialogue.
I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Uh, she's won me over, especially after she said something about Titania.
Yeah, I'm fine either way.
All right, so for the sake of concluding this fun little moment, she leads the rest of you guys up to the second floor to the common room, and she begins going through the various processes of completing the enchantment. As she does, Sinestra, she puts her hand out to you expectantly, waiting for you to hand something over.
The book.
She takes the book from you, continues to hold her hand out.
What? Oh, my hand.
She sighs and says, "I need some of the diamonds, child."
Ah, Jesus Christ. How does she even know about them? Zero, what the hell? You used to keep your mouth shut. What the fuck is wrong with you?
He laughs and says, "I told her nothing of the sort. She comes from the
Bullshit.
same group that we've made our bargain with, my friends."
Uh, how many does she need?
She holds up 3 fingers.
I give them to her.
Sinestro hands over $1,500 worth of diamonds, or 1,500 gold worth of diamonds.
Man,
That's.
Sinestra holding out on everybody.
I mean, look, I earned them.
With that, she begins the incantation and points out the spots for each of you to stand. As she begins, she holds one diamond aloft, and as she goes through the incantation, you watch to your despair, Sinestra, as the diamond slowly turns inert into a solid
Yeah.
clump of gray and then dissipates into dust.
Yeah, I figured. Uh huh. Mm-hmm. She didn't need this for the basement. Mother. And she's doing the scrying stuff too.
Yep. Um,
Okay.
she goes
Well,
through and completes the enchantment on the common room and puts a hand out as if to wait a moment and grabs Xeria by the hand and walks him into the den. There's an incantation you can hear from the open door as she goes through the moment of the spells, and there's a brief moment of silence, and then she leaves him there in the room and comes into the common room and motions for the rest of you to follow her upstairs.
um, by the way, there was supposed to be a door there.
Oh, was there? I can add that. I thought we were
Yeah.
just putting one over here, but yeah, I can
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
no. Oh no, that makes sense. I guess it's whatever up to Lacuna. Do
Um,
you have to go through your bath every time you go to your room, or can you just?
As long as no one else is going through it,
Yeah, it's all you.
then I'm fine with it.
all right. Um, so she takes the rest of you up to the room. Makai, she grabs you first and pulls you into your bedroom, puts you in the center of the room, and draws the sigils around your feet. It goes through the moment of the incantation. As she completes the incantation, she gently grabs you by the chin and softly kisses you, completing and sealing the pact between the two of you and the magic. Leaves you standing there. Comes out into the common room here, grabs Sinestra, pulls him into the bedroom there, and goes through the same motions, drawing the sigils, putting the circles and the marks, and closing the incantations, going through and marking windows and doors. And as she closes the spell, she softly grabs you by the chin, Sinestra, and kisses you, closing and sealing the magic to you. Finally,
Okay.
she grabs um, Edward, takes him up into the attic, and as she completes the spell here, one of the diamonds fades to dust. She repeats the ritual, grabs your chin, and softly kisses you, Edward. You feel the magic in the pact seal between you and the room itself. She goes back down to the common area here and grabs Lacuna and takes her down through your bathroom and into your bedroom. Casts a spell, draws the sigils and circles, and as she completes it, the final diamond fades away to dust. And being attuned with magic as you are, Lacuna, you feel the spell engulf and envelop the entire structure, closing it off. And as she ends it, she gently grabs your chin, softly kissing you, sealing the spell between you and the magic of the room. And with that,
I turn bright red and say, I've never been kissed before.
Oh,
You're such an innocent child.
she smirks at you, kisses you on the forehead, and says, "Now you've been kissed twice."
oh.
Oh.
I look at her bashfully and say, Did you kiss anyone else twice?
She smirks, grins, and says, "Maybe."
Damn, I was gonna say I won.
Yeah, I don't think you beat Zero on that one. He
Yeah.
With that, you all feel a sense of binding as the spell closes around each of you in your respective rooms. You feel the spell coming to a closure and end, and some part of your mind tells you, okay, you can move now. She returns to the common room and completes the incantation and the enchantment to seal the anti-scrying spell on the rest of the structure. And with that, she finishes the spell. And it is done. You're all
Okay.
free to go where you want to go, and we will end the game with that and pick things up fresh the next week, next Saturday.
Hi.
I'm kind of
What's
tempted to
up?
give Lacuna a little bit of a girl crush on Xenophon now.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. I thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah, like not an actual crush, because I really don't want romance to be a part of Lacuna's story, at least not right now. But just sort of like a whoa, that happened. She's so pretty.
She does have that otherworldly grace about her.
Oh, I'm mostly thinking about what her parents would say when they see that her first huge crush is on some dark elf follower of Elestray. And like, oh, well, like, what are they gonna say?
It's an amusing thought.
It's okay though.
I thought
She's
we raised you better.
I spend my time either like crushing on this dark elf or flirting with this gnome to get my way. So
I was just about to say, what about your dinner dates?
can do both. I'm young. I'm free.
But anyway, so with that, we'll close tonight's session. Apologies for going a little longer, but I was just enjoying that. It was fun.
No, I was too. I have
That was
work
fun.
down. Hey, Sen,
Mm-hmm.
would you be willing to have like a well, obviously Paul the two like a one-on-one session to discuss this development with Edward at some point?
Yes.
Okay, because like clearly we both don't trust him.
We're gonna have to have our
And
secret meeting.
yes,
Got it.
with my
I
cat.
could do that.
Yeah, if you want to do that, just let me know when the two of you are free, and we can run a game sometime, either tomorrow afternoon or next week at some point.
I think we should have it before the next session.
That's why I'm
So
saying next week at some point before the next session.
I am going to ask Zirio to give me a lesson in some Sylvan.
Make an intelligence check for me.
Oh, you got it. You got it. I have to keep
I
that
was
in mind.
wondering when you were going to pick these up again.
Just things have been just happening.
I'm going to say uh, you gain some more knowledge of Sylvan and a very slight understanding of Undercommon in addition to that. As
Ooh.
well, he's trying to give you these lessons. There is a map drawn out on the desk in his room, and there is a side conversation between him and Xenophine that's going on, and as he's giving you the lessons, discussing
Mhm.
points on the map, and you just happen to, because of the similarities between the Elvish languages, pick up bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
um,
So how far am I into Sylvan?
You're about halfway there. Yes, Lacuna?
in between mine and Sin's next session, can I don't know, I guess do a thing where I uh go to the try to hit up some of the higher end bookshops and try to find books on changeling so I can get more information on them.
You don't need to find a book. Everything you need to know about Changeling is in your grandmother's journal.
We are
Oh.
extremely rare in this world.
They are, so you know from your grandmother's journal that everything that is techno-mechanical in nature currently on the world of Toril is likely caused by a schism that she fucked up and caused between um, Eberron and Toril. In her research to try and understand the plane of Mechanus, she fucked up. She tore a rift between the parallel dimensions, the planes where Eberron exists and Toril exists, and jettisoned herself into Eberron, where she spent the better part of a decade living and researching alongside House Cannith, which is the original constructors of the Lightning Rail. During the time there, she made extensive study of the Lightning Rails, the mechanical systems, the Warforged themselves, the little mechanical cat, and all that stuff that you have been spending many sessions now researching. And in there, she also took extensive notes of the wildlife, the culture, and the population of the city where she existed, the city she lived, among them being these changeling people. So anything in regards to the changeling, you are quite familiar with, as it is written in very high detail in your grandmother's journal.
Okay then. I guess I'm gonna retire to my room, spend some time reading this before I will send Cookie and Miss Uzums to summon Sinestra.
All right. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll put some time together somewhere here over the next few days for you guys to have a session between the two of you. If any of you guys, anyone else here ever wants to do that kind of thing, just let me know and I'll put time aside to get it done.
Is Miss Uzum's Zerio's cat? Or a different one?
Uzum Fuzzums, or as she's calling him, Miss Uzums, is the cat, the little fey kitten that Zerio was traveling with. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Um,
And I pinged you on the side.
all right, cool. Yeah. So if you want to do a solo session of that too, we can do that.
Okay.
Or we could just do it in DMs if you want to do it that way. It's whatever.
We can do DMs. That's fine.
All right. Um, with that, anything else from you guys for tonight?
Nope.
Nope.
I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys later.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Later.
Good night.
Sorry I was late.
That's all
I'm
right.
glad you showed up at all.
I'm not even gonna lie. I got off and I went to bed. So I woke up at like 8 o'clock.
Hey, Laguna was like, just harass him, and I was like, well, if he misses 3 sessions, I'm gonna hire a stripper from the Atlanta, Georgia area to go show up at his house.
Oh Jesus! Don't do that.
It'd be funny as fuck with your roommates.
It would be really funny, but I don't want to have to deal with that. Because I would just
Fair
talk
enough.
to the person and be like, "Look, I know you got paid and everything, but you can go."
Easy payday.
But okay.
Okay.